Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
All right, NFL, we see you. Busy day yesterday, over the weekend. Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Let's get to it, Pearl. DK Metcalf is gone from the Seattle Seahawks. He was traded to the Pittsburgh Steelers for pick 52, signing an extension, 5 years, $150 million, $132 million in new money. And this is like a weapon that the Steelers have needed for quite a long time. But if we're talking about the Steelers part of this first, and then we'll get to the Seahawks, because it wasn't just DK that was shown the door. Geno Smith was traded Friday after the show. So we have a lot to get to on both teams. Let's go to the Pittsburgh side first and then go to Seattle. I'm just a little confused by this. And
okay.
I won't be confused for long, probably, because at some point the quarterback situation is going to get resolved for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I understand getting another weapon. I do. We've been begging for this for the Steelers. You have been begging for this for the Steelers. My only hang up with this is the reports that are coming out that the Steelers are so hell-bent on keeping Justin Fields and not Russell Wilson when you just signed DK Metcalf, who had 2 very productive seasons with Russell Wilson, like 2 of the most productive of his career. And I'm sorry, I can't believe that the Steelers would actually pivot this fast and say, oh, Justin Fields, you're our quarterback of the future. You just benched this dude, and you haven't made him this big offer that's going to blow his doors off to make sure he's not talking to the New York Jets. Like, the Jets are in play. So until the quarterback situation gets resolved with Pittsburgh, I'm going to continue to be confused by this.
Yeah, I mean, last year they came in with Russell Wilson and Justin Fields, and they were spending about $2 million on their quarterback room, which is incredible in today's NFL. But we thought it was part of a bigger term. Well, next year they get their guy.
Right.
Now there's no guy. Russell Wilson's 36. I don't think Justin Fields is a guaranteed NFL starter. And the third option, Sam Darnold, is might be expensive. So
and it's Sam Darnold.
Well, yeah, at least right. But if you could get him on a 1-year, $14 million deal, that'd be fine. The question is, who's their quarterback in 2 years? Is it really Justin Fields is their quarterback of the future? I agree with you. They benched him last year, and the guy is a cast-off from the Chicago Bears, who never have had a quarterback in their entire franchise history. So there are not good options here, which makes you wonder, what is the big-term plan? Last year, we thought eventually they're going to land on their quarterback, but they were too good to get into the draft.
Right.
That's their problem. They're still in limbo, and I don't think anything changes with this DK Metcalf move.
Listen, excuse me, they picked 21st in the draft this year. The way that Shedeur might be falling, Shedeur Sanders, maybe he's there for you at 21, and maybe they're able to thread this needle. But at the same time, I'm with you. I'm on record as not being a huge Darnold person, okay? So I think his floor, I'm not a huge fan. I think that he needs everything to be awesome for him to be awesome. And last year in Minnesota, when they go 14-3, he had a very good offensive line. He had elite weapons. So now you're going to go to Pittsburgh, and yes, you'll have an elite weapon in DK Metcalf, who's not Justin Jefferson, but still really, really good. I'm not here to trash DK Metcalf. And you have George Pickens. And I like these two guys. Pickens is a bit of a head case, and DK can be emotional himself. So now do you have 2 emotional receivers who are they going to bring out the best in each other, Pearl, or does this have the propensity maybe to burn the house down? Now, you have Mike Tomlin as a strong head coach who can manage egos, but he's really might have to really manage these 2 dudes. It's not a given that they're going to be like all kumbaya together.
Oh, absolutely. But let me ask you this question. If you have those 3 quarterbacks and you have these 2 vertical threat receivers, who's got the best arm to get them the ball? Now,
I think it's Russ.
But Sam has by far right now the best arm. He made some throws in Minnesota that not many quarterbacks can make. He would throw the ball 35 yards down to the sideline. Again, you're right. He was throwing
Justin
Jefferson, but he can make throws that at this point of his career, I don't think Russ can make.
Okay.
So I would say Darnold's got the strongest arm. You're right, though. Darnold will fold under pressure. So that's a problem in Pittsburgh.
You think?
Any of these are problems. Draft somebody and develop them. So I think actually, no matter who you sign, Well, let's put it this way. If you sign Russ or Darnold, then you're drafting a quarterback somewhere and you're hoping to develop him. If you sign Justin Fields, I'm not quite sure what you're doing here, because is he going to be the quarterback for 4 years?
I don't know, but I would say that, maybe this is just pure negotiating, but if you are really fighting it out right now with the New York Jets, then I don't think Justin Fields is necessarily feeling the love of, hey, you're our starter for the next 4 years. Like, I don't think they're giving him any guarantees you're going to start, and I think that's why he's looking elsewhere.
Well, right. I mean, there's the other report. The Jets are circling in on Carson Wentz and Marcus Mariota. So that when we're talking non-starting or interim starting guys.
Yeah, right.
Bridge guys. But that's where Fields is. Why would he not think he's there?
No, that's fine. But again, then you're not getting 4 years, right? So to me, if it's short term, I would go with Russell Wilson to pair with DK Metcalf. I know Russ, they lost 5 games in a row at the end of the season. It wasn't awesome. But I'm looking at, 2020, where DK Metcalf and Russell Wilson connected for 1,300 yards, 10 touchdowns, and had 12 touchdowns in 2021. I have a proof of concept here that these two guys can work together. So until the Steelers, clarify this quarterback thing, I'm still going to be a little dubious. And as you point out all the time, so I'll give you full credit, it's an Arthur Smith offense.
Oh, I know. That's another point.
27th in passing last year, and obviously they were missing a weapon, no doubt. So maybe they open it up, but will they? I don't know.
Well, the funny thing is, we're talking about personalities with George Pickens and DK Metcalf. They have been malcontents already in their careers. What happens when they get 32 targets next season and Calvin Austin gets 130? And Arthur Smith loves feeding the inferior players on his offense. So I don't know what they're doing here. I actually, thank you for reminding me of that. I'm not sure what the long-term plan is, and that's bad. If it wasn't the Steelers and all their rich history, we would look at them and say, you know what? They just don't really have a plan to get back to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, the other funny part about this, and I think DK Metcalf, listen, they gave him extra money. We're not sure what the guarantees are yet, but we're going to find out all this stuff. But he's an emotional guy. I wouldn't call him a malcontent. I don't think that he rises to the level of malcontent. I think that he's emotional. And I think that corners can get under his skin and cause him to have personal fouls and stuff that hurts the team. Okay?
More penalties than any receiver in the league since 2019.
There's the numbers for you. So, but I don't think he's a malcontent. But here's what I'm a little interested in. The reports were coming out is that he wanted to play in a warm weather place with a consistent quarterback situation.
At a contender.
Yeah. I mean, squint, and maybe the Steelers are a contender. I'll give them that, I guess. But it ain't warm in Pittsburgh. And your quarterback situation is one massive TBD. It's the most up in the air situation, I think, of any team now outside of Seattle, who we're not sure because they traded away Geno Smith. And the Jets are not a contender. But it's like, this is a dicey, or the Giants also not a contender. This is like a dicey, well, I don't want to say dicey. Steelers have a great history. But this checks none of the boxes that you wanted. And now maybe the money makes up for that. Maybe you're happy with the money.
Maybe.
But
what are we talking about? It's the NFL free agency week. All they care about is money.
No, I get it, but this is a trade. Like, he didn't know where he was going. So, it's nothing that you asked for. So you're already an emotional guy. You're coming into a receiver room with George Pickens. You have no idea who's throwing you the football, and go.
Well, Maggie, right. You know what they say about Pittsburgh falls and winters?
What?
Balmy?
Yeah, right? No?
I mean, I'm sure the fall is great.
But he's got Tomlin. I don't think that he's upset about this at all. He could have gone to he could have gone to the Giants.
Right.
He could have gone to he could have gone to the Titans.
No, maybe you're thrilled. But again, on the outside, you get the money. We still don't know the guarantees, but you get the money, but we have no idea. But it's not warm, and you have no idea what the quarterback is. So again, are you giving an emotional guy a reason? It's not the perfect situation, is what I'm saying.
I hear you, but I don't buy any kind of demand by any player can be answered by one thing. 2 numbers. How many millions per year? Yeah. They don't care about anything else, because at the end of the day, do you see any player picking warm weather or contender over the money?
No, and we'll get to Myles Garrett.
Yeah, I'm thinking of Myles Garrett. There's all the and also too, they have a lot of people around them who are pressuring them to take the most money. No agent's going to let you take less to go to a warm weather city.
Yeah.
Where do you think he was going to go, to Miami or maybe the Rams? I guess that would have made sense since they got Davante Adams, but that wasn't going to happen for DK.
No, not in the division. I think that was going to be a little too close.
And by the way, that means staying in Seattle, where it was not out of the question. They have no quarterback, and they're rainy.
Right. Yeah. A lot of rain. But here, okay, so let's go to the Seattle part of this. And you're welcome to call us Steelers fans at 855-212-4227. Who do you want to be the quarterback? Is it Fields, who is being pointed out to me in the chat right now, 26 years old, lots of upside? I mean, Darnold's only, 28? No. Do you want Russ, who you paired with Metcalf before, but then you're obviously going to have to draft a guy?
Mr. Unlimited.
Wait. Russ back to Seattle? Is that
No, I'm sorry, with Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh. I'm asking Pittsburgh fans.
I thought you shifted back to Seattle.
No,
okay,
who do you want to play quarterback for you? Who do you pair now with this dynamo of a wide receiver team and room? For me, I'd do Russ and draft a guy.
Let's ride.
On record now. Russ and draft a guy.
Draft a guy in the first round at 21.
If he's there, if Shador's there or not in the later round.
Makes me a bit nervous that Pickett was at 21. Feels like they are going to bomb that draft pick and take Jackson Dart. But go ahead.
I had also suggested Sam Darnold for them at one point back in the day. But again, I'm like...
You get Sam Darnold.
I don't love it.
Let's say we get Sam Darnold for 1 year. You don't have to make a massive investment. Who's more of a flyer than Sam Darnold?
Yeah, I think Sam's going to have better offers than that. I don't think he's going to have to take a 1 year flyer.
Well, I don't know. It doesn't seem like he is getting robust offers. Maybe 1-2 years, kind of what we expect with Geno Smith with the Raiders. It feels like these veterans are not getting long-term deals.
So that brings us to Seattle. And again, you're welcome to weigh in on the DK Metcalf and Pittsburgh side of this at 855-212-4227. And now let's go to the Seattle side, because now Seattle is open, where we weren't really sure about that. You have Clint Kubiak, who's come in as the new offensive coordinator in Seattle, more of the Shanahan tree. So obviously, Kevin O'Connell just did this with Sam Darnold. Now, the team's not as talented as the Vikings, but you have some familiarity with that kind of system. So obviously, people are connecting dots that Sam Darnold would now be the Seattle quarterback. Here's my thing about letting go of Geno. If you're actually doing this for Sam Darnold, I don't think you upgraded. And I know Geno's older. And Geno's, 34, 35 years old. But Geno hasn't been a starter his whole career. This isn't Matthew Stafford's 35. It's not Geno Smith's 35. Matthew Stafford is playing 16, 17 games a season, Pearl taking hit after hit after hit. Geno held a clipboard for a long time. So I'm not as, and he's not like a, running quarterback. He's not Lamar Jackson. So I'm not so worried that he's going to all of a sudden, father time. I think he's got a different calculus because he sat for so long.
That's not how quarterbacks work. Tom Brady got hit 1 million times every year and played till he was 44.
That's the one guy. He gets the one guy.
I don't think running back basically gets worn out because their legs, for some reason, just go away. I don't think that's an issue with quarterback. I don't factor that in. Honestly, I get it from Seattle's standpoint. Where are they going with Geno Smith? Once you got rid of Metcalf and Lockett, why on earth would you have Geno Smith around?
Well, it's funny because Geno was actually first before Metcalf, but but only by 2 days.
Yeah. But Metcalf had wanted out. I'm saying it seemed like it was falling apart there.
Yeah, listen, I just don't know if you necessarily upgraded. And that's where if I'm Seattle, I'm like, all right, we got pick 92 for Geno Smith. And
I was surprised by that.
I like him in Las Vegas. So if I'm a Raider fan, I like this because I think I'm maybe pairing Geno with a draft pick, and Geno immediately raises my floor. Immediately. Brings me back to respectability. You can win games with Geno. Nobody's saying Super Bowl for the Raiders this year, but can you compete in the division?
Right,
yes,
but how much money, we don't know that yet. The key is how much money are you spending on him and what is the opportunity cost? So the problem with Geno is there is no talent around him. I mean, he was with DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, and JSN last year.
Right.
And he was good.
Bad offensive line, though. Under pressure a lot.
Oh, okay. Welcome to Vegas. Well, what do you think's going on there with that offensive line? I think that it's going to be an interesting next year for him. But where is your future? Where's your 10-year plan? You need a 10-year plan at quarterback. Same situation with the Raiders, Pittsburgh, and Seattle. I want to hear the long-term plan. I don't want to do any kind of Aiden O'Connell, Gardner Minshew, Justin Fields, Russell Wilson. I'm just worried. Where is this franchise going? Are they going to be like Seattle and stuck in mediocrity forever?
See, I think it buys you a little time. Clearly, the Raiders didn't want to bottom out. You and I can disagree whether or not that was the right call. Should they have just been rebuilding? Should they have, traded Max Crosby as opposed to signing him to $45 million a year? We'll disagree maybe about the direction of the Raiders, but they've been telling us consistently, we want to win right now. We want to win games right now. They did it by hiring a 73-year-old head coach. They were in on Matthew Stafford. They were devastated that they didn't get him. And now we pivot to Geno Smith. Honestly, you could do worse. And if it's 2 years and it's 40, they were crushed, according to Diana Rossini. I love that. Crushed, they didn't get Stafford. They pivot to Geno. I like the pivot. Because they're committed to this lane of trying to win games right away.
Yeah, but are we ever going to get the Raiders back in the Super Bowl?
Well, can we
look at the Commanders
crawl before we walk? Like, who's going Super Bowl in 2025? That's too crazy.
Look at the Commanders. Look at when the Bengals drafted Joe Burrow. Look at this Niners with Brock Purdy. Get me a talented rookie and build a team around him. How are you going to build? Say you draft Shedeur Sanders at 6 or somebody, or you get a good guy at the top of the second round. Yeah. Jackson Dart falls. How are you going to build a team if you're spending $45 million a year? That's not necessarily the number on Geno Smith. And you're also spending all this money on Max Crosby. There's not a ton of, eventually you're going to use your cap space on these older guys. And in 3 years, Pete Carroll's going to be hanging them up. I just don't really see a future here.
Yeah, I think that's what, we'll see what the Geno contract looks like. And I think that's what the restructuring and, you can mess around with stuff like that. And a lot of the rest of the team is young. So I'm not so worried about that situation.
Young and bad.
Well, I mean, listen, they're a 4-win team. Of course they're bad. This is where they're starting from, and I think Geno definitely helps.
They had a lot of, under the Mark Davis regime, they've had a lot of win now moves. They hired John Gruden, made him the highest paid coach in the league, a guy with a ring, and they didn't win now.
Yep.
I just don't have any faith in that organization, even with Tom Brady there.
I like this move for them. I'm back on with the Raiders. Wow. I'm high again. We were just talking before the show. How many primetime games do we think the Raiders get?
Well, what's their win total? Is it 4.5, 5.5?
I haven't checked the Vegas odds since they traded for Geno.
I would think maybe 2, but I feel like they get a lot of 4 o'clock.
Listen, I think you get a fun Raiders-Chiefs game. I think you get a fun Raiders-Chargers game. I can see it. 855-212-4227. I mean, Brady can't do those games, though, right?
I mean, who cares? I'm telling you, they're going to be that is a late window. You spend all your money on the 1 to 4 window, and it's red zone, and it's going to be 13-6 in the third quarter of a Raiders-Chargers game, and you're going to be bored out of your skull by this team. I am not buying the Raiders hype.
855-212-4227. All right, so Seattle cutting bait with Geno Smith, DK Metcalf. And don't forget, they let Tyler Lockett go, too. So a lot of familiar faces out the door in Seattle, yet somehow they're trying to sell to their fan base that they're winning right away. Okay.
Well, they have
a Seattle.
Perfect sense for them. They brought in a Ravens coach, and there is no team that resembled the Baltimore Ravens and the Michigan Wolverines less than last year's Seattle Seahawks. There's not a single aspect of them had anything to do with Harbaughism, so they have to rebuild.
No, they want to run the football.
Yeah, and play defense. And they don't want Geno Smith chucking the ball all over the field effectively. No, they were not a team that made any sense last year, so this makes sense to me.
I understand everyone loves their GM, John Schneider, and he's been there for a long time. He's got a lot of power. Didn't even get a top 50 pick for either of these guys?
Oh, my, I can't believe you got a third rounder for a 34-year-old Geno, and you don't think that's enough?
Dude, look at this quarterback landscape. Geno is a prize.
They were going to let him walk out the door for 0.
No, they wanted to re-sign him, according to the reports, and he said, no, I want the trade.
I don't know. I think the third round pick and the second round pick they weren't going to pay DK. That wasn't even on the table. I thought they did great. I can't believe they got those 2 picks.
I don't think Seattle people are happy about this at all. 855-212-4227. Okay, so you got this on the Pittsburgh side. Who should be the quarterback to pair now with DK Metcalf, George Pickens, Freiermuth, etc.? And will DK Metcalf be a difference maker? And then for the Seattle side, are you guys blindsided by this a little for our Seattle folks? This all happened really quickly. it appears. And now you don't have your quarterback, and who do you want to replace Geno Smith? 855-212-4227. Okay, lots to do. Those weren't the only couple moves that happened over the weekend, so we're going to get you caught up with everything that's going on in the NFL. We got Laker news for you as well. We'll get to that. It's the Maggie Perloff Show. Let's do it. 855-212-4227.
They wrote me off. I ain't right back, though.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. 15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Maggie Perloff Show. This is a very funny weekend in NFL news because you're so excited to read your phone. All these great deals are coming down. We haven't even talked about your quarterback. There's so much news coming down. And then you get breaking news, alert, big signing, and it's the Denver Broncos signed defensive tackle DT Jones for $13 million a year. And you're like, who? There's a lot of, and then the funny one, people are making so much fun. The Jets signed linebacker Jamien Sherwood, 3 years, $45 million, and got a collective who from America.
He's a captain.
I'm a big fan of the random moves on free agent weekend. Mostly defensive tackles are getting big bucks because I guess I don't know why. All of a sudden defensive tackles are getting paid. But I become a junkie. I need a quarterback news. I need a wide receiver news. It's sort of fantasy football like.
The Giants made a big move yesterday.
What? Their long snapper?
Yeah, they re-signed their punter, Jamie Gilligan.
Even he said, I can't believe I got a Schefter tweet. Even he said that. I can't believe I was worthy of a Schefter tweet. That's what the long snapper punter?
No, the punter.
Punter, yeah.
Love a good punt.
So shout out to you, flipping the field. 855-212-4227. Let's be honest. Giants punter, pretty busy.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so we don't even know who their quarterback is going to be. I'm just putting it out there. He's going to be a busy guy, so get loose.
If you're going to kneel on 3rd and 9, Joe Judge style, you need a good punter.
Yeah, that was a QB sneak.
Oh, it's a QB sneak? I thought he kneeled. Okay.
Might as well. Okay, so Perloff's alluding to all this news.
Giants.
Andrew Bogusch is here. He's going to give us the latest, but we were just talking about the Seattle side of this in Pittsburgh. So Seattle on Friday trades Geno Smith to the Las Vegas Raiders. Then Sunday, DK Metcalf out the door, going to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Steelers need a quarterback. Seattle needs a quarterback. Vegas has their quarterback. Brent is in Seattle. Brent, how's the fan base right now? Take the temperature. Are you guys a little blindsided by the Geno trade?
I think that that some people were expecting that, as he's not a quarterback that's going to get you to the Super Bowl. Seattle does not believe in using the word rebuilding. They don't believe in rebuilding. They believe in being competitive every year, and they have a defensive-minded coach, and so they believe in having a strong defense and a running game. The former Husky offensive coordinator for the team that played for the national championship, Ryan Grubb, got fired after 1 year because he had a disagreement with Mike McDonald. He wanted to pass the ball more, and McDonald wanted to run the ball more. So
that will do it.
That's going to change next year.
Yeah, you're going to be a run-first team. And Brent, thank you for the call. And you're saying you're not going to win a Super Bowl with Geno Smith, and I'll give you that. Everything would have to go extremely right to win a Super Bowl with Geno Smith. But you're not winning one with Sam Darnold either. So I don't know what the plan is in Seattle, but you're not winning one with Sam either. I'm sorry, you're not.
But I think Sam costs less.
I think they're going to be about the same, to be honest. I do, because
so we know that Sam Darnold did not get a $40 million a year franchise tag. So we got to assume his market's below 40, and all the reports are Geno's market's above 40. So I'd be surprised if they got the same.
But is it going to be like such a disparity? I think they're going to be, 3 to 4 year deals. Geno's is probably going to be 2 that's maybe dressed up to look like a 3 or something like that. And I think they're getting like Daniel Jones money. It's not that crazy. But I don't think that Sam Darnold gets you closer either. And if you say you want to be a running team, well, I don't know. I think you probably use this moment if you're Seattle to maybe reset with a rookie quarterback.
Baker Mayfield last year got 3 years, $100 million with $115 million up to incentives. Yeah. Do you feel like Sam beats that?
Yeah,
No.
but just by inflation.
Okay. You didn't know, Maggie.
I do know.
I think Sam gets. I keep reading that he is getting below 40, that he's in the 30s, which is a bargain. I think Seattle wants to recreate the Ravens, which, again, Sam Darnold, Geno Smith, it doesn't matter because that guy's going to be gone by the time they reach the kind of team they want, right? I'm very curious Jalen Milroe on the table for them. Second round. You know, there's nobody in this draft who's fast like Lamar Jackson. Jalen Milroe, they said at Alabama he was the fastest player on the team, faster than Ryan Williams. So he just can't throw like Lamar Jackson. So that's a bit of a problem.
Brandon is in Dallas, Texas. Good morning, Brandon. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Fantastic.
So y'all been talking about Pittsburgh and the quarterback, and I've been thinking, what about yours? Like, nobody ever talks about Quinn Ewers. He's not even. I don't even hear nobody. I listen to sports radio all day long when I'm in my truck, so I don't ever hear anybody talk about Quinn Ewers. What about Quinn Ewers to Pittsburgh?
You know what? In the second round, probably.
Yeah, second or third.
Okay. I mean, Brandon, not bad. I mean, but once you get into a third-round quarterback, and appreciate the call and drive safely in that truck, now you're taking a flyer on a guy.
This might be a mistake. When I think of Pittsburgh, I think of a big, sturdy quarterback, and Ewers, to me, is a little bit small.
He's been injured a little, too.
Yeah, if you look at this draft class, maybe I picture there's some 6'4", 230-pound guys, and Ewers is not one of them.
What about Tyler Shuck? The guy who's like 27 years old. He's Van Wilder. He's been in college forever, but he's
taller.
He's like as close to Ben Roethlisberger as you're going to get, at least looks wise.
He's not nearly as big as Ben.
No, but he's 6'4" at least.
Right. He's okay. I would not use a first round pick on him. Maybe a second round pick at best. What about how about Jalen Milroe for them too? I think they're gonna.
Yeah, but you have Fields if you want Jalen Milroe.
Yeah, but if you have Fields under a contract, you're going to have to pay Fields now. Maybe have Fields of 1 year and have Jalen Milroe learning the game behind him. Jalen Milroe, I'm going to link him to every team because I like him. Yeah. If he gets in the right situation and gets heavy coaching on his pocket game, I think he's an interesting guy.
So Alex is in the chat who want to bring this up, and you can watch us at youtube.com/Infinity Sports Now. Prof and I, again, matching. Not on purpose. Said this. I want to find it. He said, you're not winning with Trent Dilfer, Joe Flacco, homie from Philly. I'm assuming he means Nick Foles there. They said the same thing about Steve Young. I just said, you're not going to win with Sam Darnold. You're not going to win with Geno Smith. I think that Trent Dilfer, we know the deal. We know what that was. That was one of the all-time great defense that we probably don't talk about enough. Joe Flacco went on an incredible run. That may be one of the best single-season bet on yourself, cash in, and Joe Flacco's still out there playing.
Joe Flacco?
Joe Flacco also had a cannon for an arm, and that was a great defense as well with Ray Lewis on it. And then homie from Philly, Nick Foles is again an amazing story that came out of nowhere, and he didn't play the whole season.
Well, Flacco was a first-round pick. I don't know.
Yeah, late first-rounder.
He was 18, right?
Yeah, mid. I think mid. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, but I'm just saying.
Joe Flacco was a little different. Nick Foles, a third-round pick, and who's the other guy? Oh, Dilfer. By the way, they should have kept Dilfer. That was a massive mistake by the Ravens. Yeah. They moved on to Elvis Gerbach. So I understand what you're saying, but yeah, so they're basically saying you're going to win with Geno, but those teams were great around them. The players we're talking about are not great.
Yes,
and including the Steelers. I don't think anything about the Steelers says we are a mediocre quarterback away from winning the Super Bowl. They're not built like the 2000 Ravens.
No, the defense is good. It's not that good.
Fell apart against the Ravens last year. You got to remember the Ravens ran all over them.
855-212-4227. Okay, so keep it coming. Who do you want to see play quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers? Now they got a new weapon in DK Metcalf. And then also for Seattle, who's the smart fit there? Andrew Bogusch has the rest of what's going on today.
Guys, good morning. Your headlines are sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Your small business keeps you on the go. Progressive Commercial Insurance keeps your policy within reach with our easy-to-use mobile app. Learn more at progressivecommercial.com.
Go Bills.
It must be nice being Josh Allen. He's the MVP. He's got the girl. He's got Maggie on the treadmill with backup. And now he's getting paid again. The Bills QB signing a new deal through 2030. It reportedly includes a record $250 million guaranteed. That tops Deshaun Watson's $230 in Cleveland.
Yeah, I've got thoughts.
Did we know this was coming at all? Did this have to happen now?
There was some rumblings that this was going to happen. And the guy's the franchise. That's it, plain and simple. Nobody's there. Nobody's employed. They're not this good. And I know he hasn't made it to the Super Bowl yet, but they're not getting anywhere close to the AFC wild card, let alone the AFC championship game without him. So, and listen, the salary cap is a figment of our imaginations. That's what I'm banking on as well. They've been aggressive this offseason. And I think there's another part of this. We've talked about it offline, and maybe we can bring it back for another convo another time. A little worried that he would be a candidate for a trade me to the Rams.
Yeah, Perloff, can we say I told you so to Maggie now?
I mean, geez, Louise. I was thinking
How
the
many
same
calls
thing.
do we have with Maggie being like, guys,
He's going Hollywood.
It's happening. Perloff, like, what are you
Very
talking
concerned.
about?
Very concerned.
She went into a state of panic on Thursday because he signed a new agent.
Yeah, he did.
And-
Crap.
Yeah, so now do you feel better?
No, I mean, he
You're
can
like-
still request a trade at any time. But I got a little nervous that he was, listen, he's like, could be the next Matthew Stafford. I haven't ruled this out.
I would rule that out. Stafford never won an MVP and hasn't been to the AFC title game multiple times.
I get it. I don't want him to be the guy who toils away in the loser market. Has been a loser for so long. Buffalo's not loser. I'm saying the team's been losers for so long. And he gets you so close, and then he goes to the Rams and wins with McVay the first year.
Right, but Stafford never was anywhere close.
No, I understand that. Listen, I just want him to stay in Buffalo forever. That's what I want.
Now he's got 300 million reasons why, Maggie.
Can you imagine how far 300 million goes in Buffalo, New York?
Far.
Real far, man. He went to college up there.
Far.
He could buy the town.
You can get a beer for 10 cents on Monday night.
I have a question. You might want to ask some of your contacts up there.
You could own Hamburg.
Does Josh Allen get anywhere near Buffalo between February and the end of July?
I'm not answering.
But I feel like every
Answer the
time I watch
question,
a Netflix documentary on some random sport, Josh Allen is there in Monaco watching F1
I
or
don't
at
care.
a golf tournament somewhere.
Playing golf in Tahoe.
Listen,
I think-
live your life, dude. I don't care. As long as you show up for training camp, which he has done every time at every OTA, he's fine.
No, that's my point. He doesn't have to leave because he can lead this warm weather international lifestyle in the offseason. Seems to be working for him.
Well, the irony is actually the best time to be in Buffalo.
the time you leave.
Is right when not right when he's leaving, but it only gets better. Like you want to be there in May.
Right.
Yeah.
May 17th and 24th, man.
Yeah.
You want to be there that week.
The best time to
Very
be in
small
Buffalo
slice.
is that 2-week period in early June.
Yeah, it's a little post Memorial Day, and then
I will not stand for this Buffalo slander. It's 3 weeks.
You get 3 weeks of summer. No, it's beautiful up there, but I'm happy about this. Extremely happy.
It doesn't sound like you are. You're still worried about all of these terrible.
Yeah, you just said,
fallouts.
well, I don't want to request a trade.
You still could ask out any day now.
Yeah, I know. Well, I'm just guarding myself.
God, the mental jail that you are in.
Well,
You guys are total idiots.
was that for me? Have your team lose 4 Super Bowls in a row and tell me how you'd cope.
Idiots.
Yeah.
I can't relate. I've won 2 in
Yeah,
the
I
last
know. We
7
get it.
Moving
years.
on.
Yeah.
Yesterday
for that
began
one.
with
So relaxing.
Myles Garrett changing course, shut up Philadelphia, and inking a record extension in Cleveland
Go
over
Birds.
$123 million guaranteed. The $40 million annual average value makes Garrett the highest QB non-paid. Right? Is that how you say it?
Yeah.
Thank you.
And then the receivers. Davante Adams signs with the Rams, and the Seahawks deal DK Metcalf to the Steelers for a second-round pick, then give him a 4-year extension with a max value of $132 million. The Vikings re-signing running back Aaron Jones, and the Lions cut loose pass rusher Zadarius Smith to clear $5.7 million in cap space. Let's head to L.A. Kawhi Leonard's got the ball. His Clippers down 1 against the Kings in overtime.
It's Leonard against the world with 6. Dribbles it with 5. Right elbow with 4. Kawhi with 3. Back to the basket. Spins into the paint. The floater for the win. Rolls in! And the Clippers come back to beat the Kings. 111-110. Kawhi, the hero, in overtime and into it.
Carlo Jimenez on Clippers Radio. LA winning 111-110 in OT after being down by 7 with 100 seconds left in regulation. Their win streak is now 3. The Cavs on a 14-game run after a 112-100 decision in Milwaukee. 5 in a row for the T-Wolves. 141-124 winners over the Spurs. Anthony Edwards scoring 25. College hoops. Lipscomb, High Point, Drake, and SIU Edwardsville dancing on the men's side. South Carolina, Duke, UCLA, George Mason winning their tourneys on the women's side. The Bruins took down USC to win their first conference tournament title since 2006. Yankees GM Brian Cashman said yesterday He is preparing for the worst, hoping for the best when it comes to Garrett Cole's right elbow. That same elbow cost Cole the front half of last season. He underwent an MRI late last week after dealing with discomfort. Former GM Jim Bowden said last night the initial recommendation is Tommy John surgery, but they are seeking second opinions. And Messi's still not playing for Inter Miami. His last game remains February 25th because of fatigue. His teammates beat Charlotte anyway yesterday, 1-0. Guys, back to you.
1-0.
So much there.
Yeah, you made up a bunch of things in that. Yeah, they're just made up.
Like what?
There's no Suey Edwardsville. I've never heard of that.
SIU Edwardsville.
And Kawhi Leonard's not in the NBA. Was that a vintage thing?
I was going to say that the best part was I listened to the Kawhi post-game interview, and they're asking him, like, man, do you really feel this level of urgency? You know, so, yes, so much urgency. I'm like, you play 5 days a month. Like,
I saw the highlight.
Urgency what?
Yeah. I saw the highlight. I thought it was 2022. I thought, like, oh, that's kind of cool. They're showing some old Kawhi clips.
2022, 2017.
Yeah, all this urgency. It's like, but I'm going to sit out probably the next 2 games.
That is wild. The Kawhi Leonard, and it was such a Kawhi Leonard weird mid-range lefty hook half shot. It was.
He also stood and let like 17 seconds go off the clock and then made his move.
Wait, are the Clippers a threat now? If Kawhi, no, can Kawhi get it all together?
I don't mean to stun you guys. He actually has been playing fairly regularly.
Yeah, I'm looking at the game logs. I would not call that fairly regular.
He's played for him. He's played 22 games this season.
Yeah, for him because he didn't start the year. But look at the dates.
I'm not a system player. I am a system.
He's played 2 games in a row. Congrats. Then he sat out against Detroit. He played against Phoenix. Already played a couple games in a row there, but then was out for more games. Like,
no, this is as good as it gets for Kawhi these days.
Very funny. I love that we already have teams going dancing. Maybe we can try to quiz Perloff. Where is Lipscomb?
Wait, so has anyone else heard of Southern Illinois Edwardsville? That's a thing?
I don't know if it's just an online degree. I'm just kidding.
No, they have classrooms.
I don't know where High Point is. I think we did this the other day.
High Point's in the Carolina.
North Carolina?
That's in North Carolina.
Wrong.
They've been killing it, too. I think they won like 25 games this year.
Yes.
They're going to be my darlings.
Ooh.
I can already tell you.
Why? You have to pick. You live in New Jersey. Some random team in New Jersey wins a first-round game every year.
You know, fair. I don't know why I turned my back on my home state.
Fairleigh Dickinson, St. Peter, somebody's going to come out of there.
Yeah, there's always a
Princeton.
Rutgers.
It's not Rutgers.
We know Maggie disdains this Rutgers team.
I know. I don't disdain. I just can't believe they have 2 lottery picks and they're not going to make the tournament. 855-212-4227. Bogusch, thank you. Coming up, lots more to do with NFL free agency. The biggest question we're asking comes up next. We'll do it. Homie from Philly.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to the Maggie Perloff Show. Lots going on with NFL free agency, which gets going in earnest today. It's noon is when you can technically start signing free agents. We got tons of guys re-signing their own with their own teams, and we got some trades. Most notably, Geno Smith gets traded from the Seattle Seahawks to the Las Vegas Raiders, which we'll dive into. And then DK Metcalf traded from, again, the Seattle Seahawks to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Can we talk for a moment about a signing I didn't see coming, but I think everyone is universally in favor of this one and kind of loves it.
Really?
Which is weird because we never see everyone giving a universal thumbs up to anything anymore.
Huh. I have no idea what you're referring to. Unless I okay, go ahead.
Davante Adams to the Rams.
Davante. Yeah.
2 years, $46 million. This is going to be his third team in 2 seasons. Had to leave Las Vegas. Said he had to because he was getting killed out there because Jimmy Garoppolo was throwing him hospital balls. Meanwhile, he's back with Garoppolo, who's the backup to Matt Stafford. So got to hope that Stafford stays healthy. And you pair him up with Puka Nacua, Tutu Atwell, and now you got something here with the Rams.
That's funny. I felt like that was sort of a kind of came and went because it got blown away by the DK Metcalf news. He's older. He's 32. And again, I'm going to stick to my guns here and saying older wide receivers generally are not great.
Well, I mean, with McVay, he's not being asked to be the number one guy. So now you have Davante Adams as your number 2, and you've got a quarterback that can definitely get him the football.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys to keep healthy there in LA right now. And Puka, by the way, was hurt a lot last year, and he plays so physically. It's okay. I agree with you. No one's been against it. It didn't strike me as a needle mover, though, for some reason. Am I missing something here?
I just think it's a nice addition. I do. Now, do you think that DK Metcalf is going to be a needle mover?
No, I don't, actually. I don't think anything changes on the Super Bowl odds because of DK Metcalf, because they don't have a quarterback yet. Now, maybe if you pair it with the right quarterback, maybe. But again, no, I don't think that changes. Needle mover, by needle mover, we mean change the Super Bowl odds. I'm not sure it does. Do you think it does?
Again, it's so incomplete because we don't know who the QB is. But I'm looking around this quarterback landscape, and I don't even know who the Steelers would bring in where you're going, aha. Now I see it. Like, that's not going to be the reaction if they sign Sam Darnold. It's not going to be the reaction if they keep Justin Fields or Russell Wilson. So unless, I guess, it's drafting a guy and then it's like sort of door number 3 and you have no idea what it is.
Well, reportedly, Aaron Rodgers would have been at least an aha moment, and he's out of the mix, is all the reports in Pittsburgh. A little fragile anyway at age 42. For Pittsburgh, yeah, that's the point. They can't get anyone in mid-March that is going to be a needle mover. It just doesn't happen in the NFL. How many free agent quarterbacks who have ever made that kind of impact? One. Just one. Tom Brady.
Right.
That's it. Unless, what was Peyton Manning this time of year? It's just hard to get that guy. So they're bargain shopping. And that's why I almost don't think this DK Metcalf move is going to make a huge difference in the long term.
Yeah, listen. I get it because you need more weapons, and clearly you don't love the wide receivers either in this draft, or you'd rather use your first-round pick and second-round pick elsewhere, right?
Well, do you need
the
more
second-round pick is now going to Seattle, but you know what I'm saying. Like, clearly, I think you're trying to fill a different need with your first-round pick, whether it's going to be quarterback or something else, and you don't want to put wide receiver there. So they felt like they needed to take this big swing, and they did it. And they were in on Brandon Ayuk, and, the Steelers have been looking around for guys for a while. So they do it. But again, it's like I'm confused because pairing him with Justin Fields, are we sure that Fields with Arthur Smith is going to be a dynamic downfield passing offense? Where's the proof?
No, I mean, that's the thing. Fields looked really incomplete last year with that same exact offense. Maybe if you add, he's got a strong arm. There's no doubt about that. He can get the ball down there, but it's really hard to see that. I think they draft. How about this? How about if they draft a guy at 21? Does that satisfy us? At least then there's
a quarterback.
A quarterback. Yeah. And then maybe there's some kind of long-term plan, because to win in the NFL, you need a 10-year plan at quarterback. There's very, very few exceptions. And they're not good enough where they could just plug in one guy and all of a sudden everything's going to be fixed.
I know that everyone wants the 10-year plan. You hope so, but that's just not life for a lot of teams. Sometimes it just doesn't fall in your lap like that. And maybe they're at fault because Kenny Pickett was a bad pick, or they didn't develop him, or some kind of combination of the two. But, you got to make do now.
Well, yeah, but you can't
roll, who's even on the roster right now? I don't even know.
You can't make do in the sense that you can't clog up your salary cap with a veteran who's not going to be part of the 10-year plan. You got to keep yourself loose and flexible. And hey, maybe the Steelers will. Maybe they'll do another 1-year deal and hope that something works out better next year. I mean, honestly, missing on Kenny Pickett was a real problem.
Yeah, no doubt.
Now they don't really have an answer. Maybe Fields because he's young. I just don't really see Fields developing into the guy they want.
Or Darnold. But again, I'm not
hard to see that.
And also, I'm not sold that Sam Darnold. Listen, you do have weapons now, so that's a good thing for Darnold, right? That's why I didn't understand the Seattle parts. Like, if Seattle wants to sign Sam Darnold, did you not just watch the Minnesota Vikings? Like, this dude needs weapons around him more than just JSN. So I kind of won't understand that. Like, he's somebody who needs multiple people to throw to, and you just took away the second biggest weapon. But if Sam Darnold goes to the Steelers, now you do have Metcalf, you do have George Pickens, you will have a run game because it's the Steelers. You have Freiermuth, and maybe you sign Sam Darnold for 3 to 4 years and it doesn't break the bank.
Yeah, 3 to 4 years with a year out after 1 or 2.
Or whatever. I mean, the only thing is Sam going to have better options than that?
Again, not a needle mover. Feels like we have the same Steelers team, even with DK. But DK does symbolize, hey, we're going to try something a little different. They've never kind of made this deal for a receiver.
855-212-4227. Steelers fan base, how are you feeling? And who do you want throwing to DK Metcalf? And then for the Seattle fan base, who do you want to rebuild with? Who do you want to start over with now that Geno is gone to the Raiders? It's M&P.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. 15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
NFL in full effect right now. Welcome to the show. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Last night, we get DK Metcalf traded from the Seattle Seahawks to the Pittsburgh Steelers, which is great because Pittsburgh definitely needs another weapon. But, Pearl, who's throwing to DK Metcalf? This guy wants targets, okay? And George Pickens is going to want targets. And there's not a lot of amazing options right now as far as quarterback is concerned. And DK Metcalf asked for a trade right after Geno Smith had asked for a trade. That happened on Thursday, reportedly. They were trying to work out an extension with Geno, the Seahawks. Never happened. He gets traded to the Las Vegas Raiders on Friday. So we got two different paths here for the Seattle Seahawks. And can I just be 100% on record, say I love this for the Raiders. Love this for the Raiders.
Okay. In what sense?
The Raiders clearly are trying to win some games right now.
Right.
And they wanted to go after Matthew Stafford, or they did go after Stafford a lot, and he goes back to the Rams. If you're giving me another veteran who can settle things, can raise your floor immediately, I'm going with Geno over Sam Darnold. You know, I've watched Geno in imperfect situations still play well. I've never seen Sam Darnold in an imperfect situation play well. I saw him play well for a 14-win Vikings team where the head coach is coach of the year, the offensive line was good even after injuries, and he had two elite receivers, and including the best receiver in the league. I watched Geno with a really bad offensive line step into a really tough role and throw to guys like DK Metcalf, and Jackson Smith and Jigba ends up coming up, but I think Geno had a little to do with that as well. You know, he was able to get the ball to JSN, which turned him into a number one receiver, and Metcalf kind of became number two.
I don't agree with that. I think JSN was awesome at Ohio State and is awesome in the pros. The thing is, it's not, for me, Geno Smith versus Sam Darnold. It's Geno Smith versus a draft pick. So they got to go young at quarterback, and they sit at number 6 in the draft. It's not the best quarterback year, but what's the point of having a 34-year-old Geno Smith throwing to nobody? Are you going to draft a guy there? Because that would complete the puzzle. But then you're using your first-round pick on a quarterback, your third-round pick on Geno. So you have less draft capital. All your cap space is going to Geno and Max Crosby. How are you going to build a team around a rookie? It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't feel like there's this massive upside. Let's use Jaden Daniels in Washington as an example. Have a cheap quarterback and build a team around him. This doesn't seem, if you want to win now and go 9-8, you can't do that. You're spending too much cap money over the next 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, see, I'm going to disagree with you. I don't think that Max Crosby, as much as I thought that was the wrong move, I thought they should have traded him, got it a boatload for him. But again, they're committed to this win now thing with Las Vegas. Having a high-priced pass rusher, and I don't think Geno's breaking the bank. This is not Josh Allen's new contract here with $230 million guaranteed. Geno has signed a team-friendly deal in Seattle before. I think he will sign a reasonable deal with the Las Vegas Raiders. I don't see this like back-breaking cap situation. I think you still have plenty of money. And so, you know, you need weapons. Let's see. I don't know if they're going to trade for anyone now. I think you could add weapons to your wide receiver room in the draft. Like, I'm bullish here on what the Raiders are doing. Defense is where they now need even more investment outside of Crosby.
Yeah. I don't know. Let's look at their depth chart. Running back, Zamir White. Wide receiver 1, Jacoby Myers. Wide receiver 2, Trey Tucker. Wide receiver 3, DJ Turner. Okay. Then it gets even worse after that. So I don't know. You have to fix that. Like, someone's got to come here, right? You have to add a wide receiver. Where are you going to get that?
I don't know. I don't know if it's Cooper Kupp. I'm not sure what they're going to do, but I think if you're asking me what's the one position on my football team that I must fix through the draft, I'm going to take wide receiver all day, every day, because that is the position in this day and age that is consistently sending us not just, I think, the best it's maybe ever been, but as deep of a pool as it's been. We're getting 10 to 15, not terrible receivers every year. You can go deep. You can go into the second round and get a great receiver. You can go into the third round and get a great receiver. I'm not worried about that. Receiver and running back, I think I can fix with young guys. So I'm really bullish on the Raiders. Are they a Super Bowl team? No, not a Super Bowl team. But when you are coming off a season where you won 4 games,
right?
To think Super Bowl is a pie in the sky. It's too big. How about think playoffs? And I think they're going to be right there.
Really?
Fringe playoff team.
So that means they knock off Denver, the Chargers, and the Chiefs, or what? They have to. Which team do they?
No, they don't have to win the division to make the playoffs.
Who do they knock? I'm just saying, which team of those do they pass? They have to pass one of them.
Yeah, because not all 4 teams are going to make the playoffs, so that could happen in theory.
Right. I don't think it's ever happened before.
No. But we have 7 teams making the playoffs from each conference.
I mean, listen. Geno Smith is leaving the NFC West and going to an AFC West that has killer defensive coordinators everywhere. Everyone loves the Chargers. Jesse Minter is the hottest name out there. Apparently, he's brilliant. That's what everyone says. You obviously have Steve Spagnuolo in Kansas City, and I believe Vance Joseph is still at Denver.
Yep.
That's pretty tough. And no receivers. It seems like a tough assignment. One thing I do like, Geno indoors is awesome. He'll probably be able to fling around. It just seems you're aspiring to the wrong thing to me. You're aspiring to be a 9-8 team when this is the NFL where teams turn around in a heartbeat. And the problem is if you're too good to draft a quarterback in the future, then you're in limbo forever and you're never getting back to the Super Bowl.
I just think this stabilizes things.
Is that good or bad?
Well, because here's the thing. I could disagree that the Raiders should have traded Max Crosby and started a rebuild, but they didn't. They're not doing that. So given that this is the philosophy, we can just shout from the rooftops, you're doing it wrong. But you know what? This is the way they're doing it. So if this is the path you're going to go down, I like Geno Smith in this role. You're trying to win right away. You failed on the Stafford thing, and now you pivot to Geno. I like pivoting to Geno more than Sam Darnold.
I hear you, but same result either way to me is you're an okay team. And honestly, there's a good chance, Geno's a little older, and there's a good chance you're a bad team too. You could probably be 5-12.
You think Pete Carroll could have a really bad team?
Yeah, oh yeah. I mean, retreads generally are not great. So, yeah, I think there's a really good chance. I think their win total is not going to be gaudy. What do you think it's going to be?
When are those coming out? Probably
after free agency. It's probably 6.5.
855-212-4227. Raider fans, let us know how you're feeling about this. Do you love the Geno Smith? Are you confused by it? Do you like the direction of where the Raiders are going? Meanwhile, Jay is in Nashville, wants to talk about DK Metcalf getting traded to the Pittsburgh Steelers for a second-round pick, and he's signing a pretty big deal, 5 years, $150 million. Hey, Jay, good morning.
Good morning, y'all. I saw it last night. It's the most lackluster trade I could possibly imagine being that it's DK. It kind of seemed like the Steelers went ahead and scooped him up just to make sure a team like Baltimore doesn't get him because they're in the same division. I mean, there's a little blocking going on there. And they definitely don't want the Bills to get him, too, because if DK went to the Bills, that might push the Bills over the top. You know what I mean? But it's just one of those moves because you're looking at Steelers like, okay, you're going to go to the playoffs every year. All right, that's fine with that. We're used to it. It's boring now.
Jay's yawning.
Just to think that going to the playoffs every year is boring to people now. It's crazy.
I know. See, that's the thing. If I'm the Raiders and it's such a chore and it feels like a Herculean effort for me to just make the playoffs, then I like the Geno Smith move. But, Jay, you're right. I mean, maybe there was a little defense going on. We know the Steelers have been looking for a big playmaker. I think the question is, are they going to be able to utilize him in a way that's interesting, that's game-changing? Yeah, you say no.
But by the way, Jay, one thing. The Ravens, why would they need DK Metcalf? Just pay Devil. They threw the ball very effectively last year. They don't need to pay for DK Metcalf. They have Lamar Jackson. Would you buy that argument?
No, because, I mean, just think They could have had, if they had Zay Flowers in that playoff game. I don't know. I mean, maybe Zay Flowers would have been dropping the ball too, and that's not a hit against the Andrews, man. He's still my guy. But I mean, it's just like Philadelphia got that one piece they needed, which was Saquon Barkley. And as far as the Raiders, I know they're trying to get people in the stands with wins, but newsflash, it's the NFL. People are still going to show up to the game, even with a brown paper bag over their head. So it's like, I don't know.
Jay, appreciate you, man. Is this a boring destination
I mean,
for DK Metcalf?
The other option would have been Green Bay. Would that have been more exciting for everybody?
Probably.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Yeah, probably, definitely.
Packers
At least we know who their quarterback is.
Yeah, Packers fans bummed today. They wanted DK all day. I think, again, if you're paying $50 million for your quarterback, do you really need to pay $30-something million for your 27-year-old receiver? I don't think every team wanted DK at that price tag.
So, according to reports, the Packers didn't even make an offer.
I'm aware of that report, and I don't believe it.
Really?
I'll bet you they were sniffing around. I bet
it's not very Packers-like, though. Like, what would give you why? Why would you think that? They don't do stuff like this.
You don't think they called? Well, the Steelers have never even come close to making a trade like this.
No, I get it, but at least we knew that the Steelers were interested in Brandon Ayuk. We know that they were interested in Davante Adams. We know they were last year. They were definitely showing some I don't know, signs that they were in the market for a receiver. Green Bay is all about drafting their wide receivers. Always.
Right. Well, so the Steelers have always been that same way. The Steelers have been the king of drafting wide receivers, and it wasn't working. Eventually, and the Packers are the same exact way. They keep drafting receivers, and it's completely failing. All these guys are getting hurt, or they're just not there mentally, so they need some help. They should have gone in way stronger on Davante Adams, too.
Well, that was the other thing. I think Packer fans were hoping for a reunion, and that didn't happen either because Davante Adams went to the Rams. Now, we know Davante wanted to go to the West Coast. So he got his wish. Wilson is in California. Wilson, who should be the starting quarterback for the Steelers now that they've traded for DK Metcalf?
Well, good morning, kids. Good to talk to you again. Been a while. I think you need to look at the history of that organization, and you need to look at the quarterbacks that have really succeeded for the Steelers. And I'm talking Bradshaw, big, strong guy. A number of quarterbacks in between. Malone, you got to look at Roethlisberger, big, strong guy. Now, I know this guy had a hell of an upside last season with 14 wins. We know his downside. But I think that Sam Darnold would be tailor-made for the Steelers because I think these big, strong quarterbacks in the bad weather, and you look at Josh Allen, and you look at some of these other guys. These are big party guys.
You know who had a good year, Wilson? Remember Tommy Maddox had a killer year in Pittsburgh.
Absolutely.
Neil O'Donnell, huge guy too.
These are big guys, okay?
I think the same thing. It's cold and windy. You need to be 6'3", 230 pounds.
You got to be a big, hardy guy.
But here's the thing, Wilson and Perloff. Okay, Sam Darnold is 6'3", 225, right? So he's got obviously the height and he looks the part. When has he ever played well in bad weather? When has he ever
played He had 14 wins last season.
I know, but Wilson,
I'm saying I think it's an upside. Let me just finish this whole thing though.
Yeah.
The flip flop on that with the Steelers is Justin Fields. I think might be a good fit over in Seattle. Okay, the whole thing with Aaron Rodgers, you can go one end of the spectrum from retiring, to going out on a positive note. I always thought New Orleans would have been a good fit for him, but being the narcissist that he is, he's going to want to go out on a positive note.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to finish up by saying I concur with Maggie. I think they got to go for a receiver. I'm a long time Raider fan. I've let you guys know that before.
Yeah.
And I would go first off receiver, and the other guy, get somebody to complement Max Crosby on the other side, an edge rusher maybe on the next pick.
Yeah, and Wilson, thank you for the phone call. Okay, a few things there we want to unpack. The idea that the Steelers quarterback has to look and be a certain way.
Yeah.
Well, Justin Fields is 6'3", 227.
He's pretty big.
Pretty big dude. He's not small. So maybe you already have that guy. The problem is his arm isn't what Ben Roethlisberger's was, which is funny because it was great in college.
No, he's got the arm strength.
Right, but not we haven't seen it yet on the pro level of him being this amazing downfield passer.
Yeah. It feels to me that Sam Darnold has a better downfield arm. I just think Sam Darnold can't really handle pressure very well. And I'm not sure Justin Fields can either.
Whoa, what's this?
Breaking news?
It's not a move that happened, but this is very fascinating. I want to stop you guys before you say anything more about the Steelers situation.
Okay.
Steelers continue to talk, according to Adam Schefter, to Justin Fields and Russell Wilson, but, ellipses, Aaron Rodgers has emerged as a quarterback option in Pittsburgh per league sources.
Whoa.
Rodgers and the Steelers are expected to talk and explore a reunion. I don't know what reunion that would be. The idea of Rodgers playing for Mike Tomlin is in play.
Wait, who said that? Schefter?
What's the
Schefter.
reunion?
I have no idea what that means.
They
There's a
love each
picture
other.
of him hugging Mike Tomlin when they beat the crap out of the Jets this year. So maybe he's referring to the picture. I don't know.
They played each other in the Super Bowl?
They love
Many
each other.
years ago?
They've talked. They talk about each other all the time.
Rodgers loves everybody.
But that was tweeted by Schefter a minute ago.
Interesting, because it was kind of notable that the Steelers, who are kind of feel like they're in on a lot of guys, were kind of famously out on Rodgers. So that changes now. Look at Rodgers' his market is kind of blowing up. Manny's Giants. The Vikings emerged as a dark horse. We saw that over the weekend from our pal Albert Breer from Sports Illustrated. Seattle now in play because they don't have Geno. And Pittsburgh is now the fourth. Am I missing anybody?
It up.
Well, yeah, but in the same thing, Carson Wentz's market is blown up as well. He's in play for the Jets and the Browns all of a sudden as a potential starter. So I'm just saying that this is not exactly blowing up. He's won it in a mix with Russell Wilson and Justin Fields and Seattle. What about by the way, so if that happens, the last caller said Justin Fields to Seattle. That makes all the sense in the world.
See it.
Because McDonald's going to want a mobile quarterback, and didn't he almost set the all-time record for rushing yards for a quarterback?
Yeah, but I guess I would throw the argument you threw at me about the Raiders with Geno back to you with Seattle. Like, where are you going with Justin Fields? Is he actually going to be your quarterback of the future? You having him as a Band-Aid? Like, where you're no closer to a Super Bowl as far as we know.
Right. But I don't think you have to pay a lot for Justin Fields. I would rather go Justin Fields to Seattle than, for example, Aaron Rodgers. I don't think they want to pass the ball. Think of Michigan handing the ball off 24 times. That's what Mike McDonald presumably wants to do. Geno made no sense whatsoever.
Right.
And it's kind of, there's a little bit of weather, a little bit of wind up there. Justin Fields or a mobile quarterback makes perfect sense. Just run, emphasize your defense. Geno's too good. He throws the ball downfield too much. And Rodgers is too good for Seattle. He's got to, but then again, we just had a caller who say you got to be big and strong and secure with the ball. Aaron Rodgers is 42, 2 years off an Achilles. Don't you feel like he'll be a sitting duck back there?
I'm offended.
Offended. Here's the thing. I think Rodgers can get the ball to Metcalf and to Pickens. They have to really hope their offensive line takes a big step forward, and I think they are expecting that.
I would dream to watch Aaron Rodgers trying to avoid the Ravens and Myles Garrett and the defenders in that division. At least Trey Henderson's leaving, so that's good. But, yeah.
We think.
AFC North, okay. Good luck, Aaron.
He's got to get to Minnesota. He's got to get indoors.
I agree.
He's got to get somewhere friendly.
Well, I think this is more of a window into the Steelers.
Well, I think that the fun thing about him is he's so short term for them. That's got to be a 1 year deal. So at least you're opening up for business next year.
Could you imagine Aaron Rodgers playing in that game against Cleveland in the snow with Myles Garrett chasing him around?
The Jameis Winston game?
Yeah, the Jameis Winston game. Do you see him playing in that realistically? You were talking about him having to maybe sit out games last year for load management.
I thought they should have load managed him.
EJ, counterpoint, he did build a Hall of Fame career in Green Bay.
He hasn't been a Hall of Fame player in a while.
Dude won MVP 3 years ago.
Yeah, that's a long time ago. We have Achilles injuries, knee injuries, ankle injuries since
it's not that long ago.
It feels long ago based on his years in football years. It feels like it was 10 years ago.
I know we've had like 4 documentaries since then. I think that also
a lot of podcasts.
A lot of podcasts, like 3 different ayahuasca trips, maybe more.
No, it would have been more exciting.
Yeah.
My dog.
Picking up your point, if the Raiders had gone with Aaron Rodgers, then...
Well, that's like a bananas. That's just like a weird dream team that's not going to work.
Perfect storm kind of team. Well, I think the Raiders were probably looking at veterans. I would have liked them to go Aaron Rodgers to get him indoors. That would have been a good spot for him. I get why they were Geno. He's probably better at this point of his career. But yeah, I don't see an outdoor. I agree with EJ. A cold weather outdoor team with a really iffy offensive coordinator to me is not ideal for Aaron Rodgers.
Well, listen, the degree of difficulty a little higher on this one than maybe the Vikings. I'll give you that.
Yeah, that's a spot.
But if he wants to start, this could be the place to start. It would be this or the Giants, and the Giants are picking third in the draft. You could have a quarterback right there who you're, placeholder for. Listen, the Giants did that with Kurt Warner. You don't think they'd do it with Aaron Rodgers? Yank him after 10 games?
I don't know. So the Steelers just bargain shopping? Because there was also Diana Rossini of The Athletic said that they made an offer to Sam Darnold. So are they just trying to get saying to all these guys, if you come in for the cheapest deal, we'll sign you?
That'd be the strategy 2 years in a row.
Last year they just sort of didn't do anything and then just landed with those guys.
Bargain shopping.
Right. I mean, but they have to actually pay somebody this year, right? They can't. None of those guys are free. Last year they were all they were veteran minimums. I think they have to pay at least $20 million, right?
855-212-4227. Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers, according to Schefter. A little bit of traction. Do you like that fit? I don't hate it. I think that Rodgers is going to be better this year, no matter where he is.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. So
maybe he'd be MVP in Minnesota.
855-212-4227. Okay, let us know what you think about that. We've got so much left to do, including I loved this behind-the-scenes look at what has gone wrong with the San Francisco 49ers. I thought this was very illuminating, and I learned some things. I want to share those things with you and why the 49ers find themselves in this crazy predicament. 855-212-4227. We'll get to that next.
I'm going to my darkest retreat.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
NFL news coming in fast and furious. Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff show. Do we have another little headline just came across?
Yeah, EJ gave us the big one that now the Steelers could be in the mix for Aaron Rodgers. So that's a pretty big pivot where they had famously kind of been out on Rodgers, yet in on Darnold and in on Justin Fields. Like, they're all over the map.
Is that
here.
really being in on Russell Wilson? It feels like not a huge pivot at all. It feels like they're shopping in the same aisle at the store.
Justin Fields, Sam Darnold, and now Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah, don't you think that's all the same aisle?
Yeah, same.
Really?
I mean, they're all looking at the same teams. They're all about the same cost.
Yeah, but if you're going with 26-year-old Justin Fields, who's this mobile quarterback, and versus 42-year-old Aaron Rodgers, that feels like the same aisle to you guys? Where do you shop?
Fields is a bit of it. Yeah, it's about the same cost. Feels like all these guys are in the mix to be the Giants quarterback, every single one of them.
Yeah, Seattle Giants are spinning around.
Oh, Rodgers is out on the Giants?
No, sorry, I thought you said the Jets. I'm sorry. No.
Yeah.
The Giants, I guess. But at least the Giants, this is where the Giants, for as, tough as it may look on the outside, they do have the 3rd overall pick. They're in better shape in terms of drafting a quarterback than the Steelers and the Seahawks.
Yeah, I don't know. That gets to it. The other big question that's behind all these free agent moves is there anyone to draft in this draft? Because all those, that's what I mean, the same aisle. Hey, we'd love a young quarterback, but this draft stinks. Let's just get a guy that we could sign for a year or two that's not going to kill our cap.
The fact that Daniel Jones may be a piece, like a domino that has to fall for other things to line up. Like I saw over the weekend that if Daniel Jones doesn't go back to the Vikings, who had traded for him or signed him, I guess, in the middle of the season, and if he doesn't go to the Colts, then maybe Aaron Rodgers could go to the Vikings or something. I'm like, are you kidding me that Daniel Jones is a domino that has to fall? Like, that's nuts to me.
This is the aisle. This is what we're talking about.
Also, it seems like Darnold and the Vikings still slightly floating around out there that he could come back. That was on Saturday and Sunday. There was a lot of heat that he was looking at the Vikings again.
But that's ridiculous. Unless J.J. McCarthy's knee is a pile of mush.
Unless Darnold's not getting any money offers. If he's going to play a 1-year, $19 million deal, then that's why we're in the same aisle. It's a 1-year deal kind of guys.
What is that, Costco? 1 year?
BJ's.
Yeah. Is it warehouse? I don't know.
It is not ideal. I think a lot of these teams would love to go young at quarterback Maybe there's a second or third round guy that'll answer all these problems. Tom Brady is making the decisions in Vegas, right? What round did he go in, Mag?
No, I know he went in the 6th, Pearl, but he also just traded for Geno Smith for a 3rd-round pick.
He didn't have anything to do with that trade.
Oh, you're so wrong.
Oh my God!
Why won't you just like let it wash over you that Tom Brady's making decisions here?
Because
accept it.
That was obviously a Pete Carroll call.
Well, it may have been. Yeah. Pete may have stumped for him, but clearly Brady doesn't, unless they draft Shedeur, which maybe they still will at 6. But how many reports do you need before you believe that Brady's calling the shots?
I think he might be calling the shots, but this was obviously a Pete Carroll
right, there's familiarity, no doubt. But Brady, if he had said, we're getting Shedeur no matter what, and if this is all worked out behind the scenes with Dion and what have you, then I think Brady would have said no to Geno.
I don't know. I wonder if there are a lot of guys, cooks in the kitchen. It just feels Pete Carroll's last quarterback in Seattle was Geno Smith. Yeah. His first quarterback here. People have been linking Geno there for months now.
Obviously, it makes a lot of sense with Carroll. I just need you to acknowledge that Tom Brady is making decisions.
But why would Tom Brady want to trade a 3rd-round pick for Geno Smith? What indication is that this is some kind of move that Tom Brady would be interested in?
Because I don't think he wanted Sam Darnold.
Right, but Sam Darnold.
And obviously Russell Wilson was not the thing either.
Right, so what's his plan at quarterback, though? That's what I don't understand. Why is Tom Brady this sort of aiming for 9 and 8? That doesn't feel like him at all. It feels like he would only be focused on a ring.
Well, I mean, I don't know if a ring's happening in the next year or two, but they clearly want to win games now. Brady's not rebuilding. You don't think he had anything to do with Max Crosby re-signing?
He's 27-year-old star of the team. I don't think it takes a genius to re-sign him. I think if Brady really ran the show, he'd be smart to gut the entire team like the 2000 Patriots. Just get rid of everyone and start over. But I do think when you bring in Pete Carroll and you bring in Chip Kelly, these older guys, there's a win now philosophy. But why would Brady want to do that? Doesn't he want to build a champion? I mean, are the Raiders going to be in the Super Bowl in the next 15 years? I don't see the path.
15?
I just don't understand. Well, Mark Davis is their owner. Tell me, Raiders fans, call in. When do you think you're going back to the Super Bowl? You were there in 2001 in San Diego. It's been a long, long time, and I don't see. I mean, with this ownership group, do you guys see any change?
Well, let's see. But this is year 1 with some new blood in terms of. Well, I know they had Tom Telesco last year, but this is the first year with Brady in the building.
But it's kind of like I said last week, though. I don't, agreeing with Pearl here, I don't see the ingenuity. I don't see anything interesting about what they're doing. Like, Geno Smith played really well in Seattle. The guy throws a lot of interceptions. He's a little older. I would be stunned if he's a guy that can make them, forget about Super Bowl, even a deep, deep playoff run. The AFC, like the Ravens and the Bills are still there. Forget about even the Chiefs. Like, there are a lot of good teams there. So, like, I guess I would like to see something a little more creative. I don't know.
But it's only year 1, and I feel like they want to get back to respectability. And if you're a playoff team, let alone a deep playoff run, you're making the playoffs, I think you're back to respectability, without a doubt. Was there something else? Let's get to Bogusch first. He's got headlines for us. But yeah, Raider fans, 855-212-4227. Floor is yours. Are you happy with the Geno Smith trade?
Guys, I hope Max Crosby enjoyed his time as the NFL's highest paid non-QB. He lost that title after a couple of days yesterday when the Browns locked up Myles Garrett long-term, his trade demand fading into a 4-year extension with a record annual average value of $40 million. The guarantee is $123.5 million. It's $250 for Josh Allen, the highest ever for anybody. The Bills signed their QB through 2030. The Steelers reportedly giving DK Metcalf a 4-year extension worth as much as $132 million after sending a second-round pick to Seattle for him. And Davante Adams heading to the Rams, 2-year deal, $26 million guaranteed for him. And a quick college note, Eddie George is the new head coach at Bowling Green after 4 years at Tennessee State, taking them to the FCS playoffs this past season. The process on full display last night in Philadelphia.
Walker in traffic. Oh, yeah. Takes a hit from Micah Potter and then unfurls a finger roll. What a play by Lonnie Walker. a scoring sensation with 16 points in 22 minutes.
Tom McGinnis on
Lonnie
Sixers
Walker.
Radio. Yep, just as they planned back in the offseason, Philly got 25 apiece from Lonnie Walker IV and Quentin Grimes to take care of the Jazz last night. 126-122.
Brutal.
They're back, Pearl. They are back.
Brutal win. Fans are not feeling this one. They are desperate to get the right lottery position, and this win stinks.
Quentin Grimes turning into Kawhi Leonard randomly has not been great for the Sixers tank.
I'll tell you what, I watched 15 seconds of the Sixer game the other day, and I'm not trying to be a jerk, but Andre Drummond, did he eat the other Andre Drummond?
No,
what is going on? That guy is huge.
Literally, I have to show you a text with me and our former boss, Spike Eskin, game 1 of the season. I said, what happened to Andre Drummond? He said it's actually last year, at the end of last year, he got big. So apparently it's been a 2-year eating project for Andre Drummond. You just haven't watched the Sixers in a while.
Yeah, I guess not. I mean,
no, he used to be
did
shredded.
he open up a cheesesteak, factory?
Like Perloff has been absolutely oblivious to the Giants' rebuild. Maggie is oblivious to Andre Drummond.
No, I was too.
I saw him. I was like, no way. That's whoa.
10, 21, 24. Has Andre Drummond been this fat for a while?
I hate to use the F word. I just, he's older
was a
too.
text between friends. I shouldn't have said that.
Yeah.
But anyway, he's big. But you understand, this win is awful. This is awful. It's the opposite of the process. This stinks.
No, I know it's the opposite of everything. Lonnie Walker IV scored 25 points last night. And you have another guy who's also the fourth. Ricky Council IV. I need Elias on this. How many teams have 2 one IVs in their lineup?
It's been good.
Pearl's going to need IV if the Sixers win the game.
Andrew Perloff, IV. Yeah.
The Cavs slightly better than the Sixers. They won in Milwaukee yesterday, 112-100, extending their win streak to 14. The aforementioned Kawhi Leonard scoring at the buzzer to get the Clippers past the Kings, 111-110 in overtime. The Pistons won in Portland, 119-112. And the Grizzlies won in New Orleans, 107-104. Ja Morant, Desmond Bane combining for 62 points and 14 assists. And LeBron expected to miss at least 1 to 2 weeks with the left groin strain he suffered Saturday night in Boston. NC State men's basketball fired head coach Kevin Keatts yesterday, the year after the Final Four. But don't forget, they were struggling last season before that magical run. Overall, Keatts a losing record in ACC play in those 8 seasons. On ice yesterday, another one for Ovechkin.
Wilson was trying to feed Ovechkin, but in tight quarters, Ovechkin got it away, he scores! A backhander from the red line! He did it! Ovechkin scores from long distance! It's goal 886! And it's 4-2 Washington!
John Walton on Caps Radio. Alex Ovechkin getting number 886 in a 4-2 decision over Seattle. So now he is 9 goals away from passing Wayne Gretzky.
It's hockey.
Metcalf.
What do you think they're going to do for that, by the way? Like, what do you think? Have they leaked out what's the plan? You don't know when it's going to happen, but what's the plan?
Is Gretzky going to be there? I imagine so, right?
But again, we talked about this. Has this become like the Maris family had to follow around Aaron Judge before he broke the single season American League home run record, and they had to go to Canada and Baltimore, and it was basically like an East Coast tour.
I guess it's not really like, LeBron and the Kareem thing, because like you kind of have an idea of when that record's going to break. Like these 15 points within it, you're like, all right, I'll show up.
Yeah.
Like this is like you don't know when it's going to happen.
I think Gretzky will probably record a video that could be played maybe like in any arena. Say, congratulations, Ovi.
I mean,
that looks kind of weird, though.
Right. He's not doing much these days. He works on TV and he hangs out and plays golf. I mean, he's theoretically got the free time to bounce around a couple of days and
sounds
follow
like Charles
Ovi.
Barkley.
Dude, he's Wayne freaking Gretzky. He's not following around Ovechkin. It's like, and today we're in Columbus, and then we're going to go to Winnipeg. Like, no shot. It's Wayne Gretzky.
Gretzky's a pretty normal media guy now. He does a lot of podcasts. I don't know. I feel like Gretzky's now in the media, so he can, as part of his media duties, maybe TNT would follow him around. Can we send Paulina and Janet, though? Because that is way more important to me.
Getting to the bottom of things.
I haven't actually, still Janet, unbelievable. That was a
Yeah, so surprised
crush.
Paulina looks like Paulina does based on who her mom is.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, got distracted.
That's
there.
fine.
You guys need a minute?
Mets catcher Francisco Alvarez, this will change our feelings, having surgery today for a broken bone in his left hand. He'll miss 6 to 8 weeks. And Christopher Bell won the NASCAR race at Phoenix Raceway yesterday. He is the first driver in 4 years to win 3 races in a row. Guys, back to you.
Folks, thanks so much. See you guys on the phones. You want to talk about some of these massive moves that the NFL's, free agency technically didn't even start yet. We got signings all over the place, trades all over the place, and a lot to sort out when it comes to quarterbacks. 855-212-4227. We're asking you this morning, who should be QB1 for the Pittsburgh Steelers? They've got DK Metcalf now. They're apparently in the mix for Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers, Sam Darnold, Justin Fields.
Russell Wilson.
Who do you want out of that stunning crop?
And they signed Carson Wentz.
Oh, gosh.
Actually, he looks like a Steelers quarterback. I would go Carson.
Yeah, your love of Carson Wentz is starting to get a little.
We need an
intervention.
Carson Wentz's numbers are twice as good as everyone we just mentioned, except Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, 4 years ago. 855-212-4227. It's M&P.
Had a couple really interesting nights on the medicine.
You're in a 5-minute break.
Tickets, Rangers on the ice at Perloff. My guy, it's gonna be nice. But halfway through, Perloff starts to yawn, checking his watch. Something feels wrong. He leans in close, whispers with dread. Manny, I gotta go, it's almost time for bed. Manny said, wait, the game's still tight. Perloff said, yeah, but my TV's on tonight. Perloff left Manny stranded all alone. Took the last train, didn't even check his phone. Rangers in a shootout, Manny lost his ride, but Perloff was home, TV remote at his side. Meanwhile, Bellotti was supposed to be there, but guess what? He vanished into thin air. Maybe he's sick, maybe he's fine, or maybe he's just avoiding the grind. Man, he's still texting, waiting for a sign. Perloff's in pajamas, feeling just fine. Bellotti's a mystery, where could he be? Probably still dodging responsibility. Perloff left Manny stranded all alone. Took the last train, didn't even check his phone. Rangers in a shootout, Manny lost his ride, but Perloff was home, TV remote at his side. Manny's still texting, waiting for a sign. Perloff's in pajamas, feeling just fine. Bellotti's a mystery, where could he be? Probably still dodging Respoid in the grind. Man, he's still texting, waiting for a sign. Perloff's in pajamas, feeling just fine. Bellotti's a mystery, where could he be? Probably still dodging responsibility. Then walked home, cursing his fate. Perloff's on the couch, feeling just great. Bellotti's MIA, lost in the void. One more shift that he's skillfully avoiding.
1 minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Interesting, exciting new twist here for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Aaron Rodgers now in the mix, according to Adam Schefter. Looks like they first want to try to get something going with Justin Fields. I guess. I mean, that feels like that would have been pretty obvious. Like, hey, you have been in our building for the last year. We want you.
Yeah.
Let's do this thing.
But there's a potential that the Jets are going to make a better offer. So they're waiting on Justin Fields? What?
So, but how into Justin Fields are you if you're willing to let him go to the Jets?
Well, I think the Jets might be offering some real money, and the Steelers probably want to go as cheap as possible.
Okay, but so then you don't believe in Justin Fields.
Right.
So, don't sell us that, oh, gosh, this could be our quarterback of the future if you are going to lose a bidding war to the Jets.
Yeah.
But meanwhile, now Rodgers is in the mix, and Russell Wilson, and Diana Rossini is saying Sam Darnold got an offer from the Steelers?
Or that's what she said. I have to get the wording on that exact tweet. I think they're just trying to get really cheap at quarterback. I think all these guys, what do they have in common? They're not long-term commitments. I think that's the most important thing. The Steelers know they need I'll call a 10-year answer at quarterback, and none of these guys are that.
I'm telling you, this is all because this quarterback draft is weak sauce at the top.
Yep.
Because if this was a good quarterback class, everyone would be waiting until after the draft to sign these guys.
Oh, my God. 6 quarterbacks went in the first 12 picks last year. Now we're going to get 1.
I know. 855-212-4227. Maybe 2 if Shador and the Raiders is still a thing.
No.
Now they have Geno Smith at QB, Las Vegas, that is. Jeff's in Tucson. Wants to talk about the Myles Garrett signing. Good morning, Jeff. How are you?
Good morning. Good morning, Perloff. Maggie, I know you're all happy, glee, big signing.
Yeah. Josh Allen stays with Buffalo till the year 2030 at least.
Oh, my gosh. You won't even know how to act in 2030, will you?
I hope we're all here in 2030, Jeff.
I heard that. So I asked you last Friday, what do you think should happen to Myles Garrett? Well, now we know. Now we know he gets to be the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history. So I guess the Browns have convinced him that we're going to go get a quarterback because we know that the guy nobody likes isn't going to play.
Jeff, I don't think that happened. I don't think that they had to sit down and tell Myles Garrett the plan, and now Myles Garrett is on board with the plan. I think this is a lot more basic than that, which is they shoved a bunch of money in his face, and he said, okay. And here's the thing, Jeff, and, cannot hear a peep now from Myles Garrett about being in a losing situation. Because you put the trade request out there was it the Monday or Tuesday of the Super Bowl when, all the media is in one place. He went table to table and did interview after interview, including with our pal Zach Gelb, saying, get me out of Cleveland. They're a bunch of losers. I'm not doing Cleveland to Canton. This is not happening. I want to be in a winning situation. And let me check the calendar. A month later, forget all that. I'll take the big money and give me a no-trade clause.
Right, yeah. Give him a no-trade clause. And you know what else? Is that he kept saying it isn't about the money, But you know what? When it comes to life-changing, generational money for all your grandkids,
sure,
it's about the money.
Yeah, of course it is, Jeff. And here's the thing. Thank you for the call, dude. Nobody's going to begrudge him that, right? Football's a brutal sport. We know you have to get yours. But here's the thing about Myles Garrett. He probably would have gotten it anyway from an actual contender, and you just can't tell us anymore that it's about the winning.
True. I wonder if the Browns got the Godfather offer for Myles Garrett, because the last time this happened was Khalil Mack to the Chargers, I believe. The Chargers. And that didn't work out at all. I wonder if teams looked at him and said...
the Bears.
Bears.
Oh, the Bears. Oh, it was to
Raiders,
the Bears.
Bears,
and then Chargers.
Raiders, Bears, and Chargers. Right. I couldn't remember. I wonder if people looked at Myles Garrett and said he's about to turn 30. Is he really worth 2 first-round picks? I don't think the Browns got – I think it's a combination of things. I don't think the Browns got the offer they wanted. So why would they move him? They just let him – he's not going to hold out. Or maybe the Browns had a lot of leverage because he's under contract. So sure. I don't know why they never seemed to even take his trade request seriously. They never once said we have any interest in this.
No, they didn't. And they made him the highest paid player, and that's fine. But again, I don't want to hear that, hey, I'm in a losing situation and I'm not happy with it.
The funny thing, before this offseason, have we ever heard Myles Garrett complain about losing? Not really. He's not a malcontent by nature.
I don't remember, which is kind of why the trade request was a little surprising.
Right. He's not outspoken, so they'll be fine.
Let's go to Ramon, who's in Indy. Ramon, how you doing, sir?
All right, good morning, everybody, and thanks for taking my call. Yeah, Pittsburgh, I don't know what's going on with them. You're not bad enough to get a high quarterback pick in any draft. You're not good enough to do anything. 1 year wonder's not going to do it. Take it from us, Pittsburgh. We tried with Matt Ryan and Carson Wentz and Phillip Rivers, and it didn't work here in Indy, and now we're floating around, bringing in Daniel Jones to have a quarterback competition. Oh, my goodness.
Just what you were always hoping for, Ramon.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
This is the Peyton Manning days and Andrew Luck days are long gone around here. I just wanted to ask you, Maggie.
Yeah.
You know, they gave Josh Allen a nice fat pack, but with all these receivers going all over the place, where's his help?
You know,
he doesn't have any help.
Ramon, it's a great question. I think I don't know what. Listen, are they going to draft another wide receiver? They might. They re-signed Khalil Shakir. I think they're telling Josh Allen, between the run game and the everybody eats mentality, we're not doing obvious wide receiver one right now. And maybe Keon Coleman ends up becoming that guy, but, off the first season, not that encouraged. Missed some time. He's complaining. He's on a podcast recently complaining about the cold weather. It's like, dude, come on.
I just
it's
see
a
he's going to be struggling again to beat Kansas City. Him and Baltimore may be in the same situation, but Kansas City Hollywood Brown's going to be motivated. You know they're going to be motivated. I just don't see where he has to have somebody. DK Metcalf going to Pittsburgh has helped them, so whoever they get that is. I thought they would get DK.
I know,
but that would have been a good help for him.
Ramon,
I just see him struggling again.
I know, when it counts.
It
counts.
I'm sad for him. Thanks.
Ramon, don't get too broken up about Josh Allen. Just signed a $250 million guaranteed. Like he's winning at life. But don't forget this. The thing about Buffalo, the run game is a huge part of what they want to do with James Cook, and he's, by the way, up for some money. And they love the tight ends. So it's not just about Keon Coleman and Khalil Shakir and whatever they do with another receiver, but they also want more Dalton Kincaid. They want Dawson Knox to be a thing.
But that being said, would you agree with that point that they do feel just a little bit short on offense?
Yeah, listen, it's clear what they've done. The commitment is to defense. Yeah. They re-signed Terrell Bernard. They re-signed Greg Rousseau. I think the defensive side, I'm not worried about the offense. Call me crazy. Yeah. I'm not. They need balance and not just funneling the ball to one guy. And they need help on defense.
I was actually a little surprised. The Chiefs, how they got Nick Bolton back in the building. They're not going anywhere. It dawned on me this weekend watching their moves. They're not doing any kind of rebuild. So that's the same problem with Buffalo and Baltimore. It's a good point.
Look at how your team beat the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, right? I mean, you were all over Patrick Mahomes. He didn't have a second. And meanwhile, in the AFC Championship game, the Chiefs scored more points than they had all season long. Like, to me, this isn't rocket science. I don't think the Bills' offense is the problem. The defense needs more weapons.
So why are you bringing Rousseau back at a hefty price tag?
Well, it wasn't that hefty. He's their homegrown guy. I understood it.
Still feels, they still feel a little thin.
Looky what we have here when it comes to quarterbacks and this game of duck, duck, goose. Who's now in the mix for Aaron Rodgers? We'll tell you next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. 15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Tell you what, this is a weird game of quarterback roulette. Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. This is an odd one because we have had so many moves over the last couple days, Perloff, but a lot of the quarterback stuff is really up in the air. Welcome to the show, by the way. It's Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. So Friday, let's kind of do this in order here.
Yes.
Friday, we get the big news about the big trade. Geno Smith leaving Seattle to go team up with his former coach, Pete Carroll, in Las Vegas. Third-round pick 92. He ends up leaving to go to Las Vegas. So now we got an opening in Seattle that maybe we didn't foresee before. We still have an opening in Pittsburgh, who also made a trade for someone from Seattle. It was DK Metcalf. That happened yesterday. So they get a new wide receiver, yet we have no idea who's throwing to this person. We have no idea who's going to be in the quarterback room. We still have question marks with the New York Giants, with the New York Jets. We still have question marks in Cleveland. We have some question marks in Minnesota. We have question marks all over the map, really.
Minnesota at least has J.J. McCarthy sitting there.
Yes,
You're talking about some of the worst teams in the league with nothing. Cleveland's got no one. Giants have no one.
Right, but the reason why I bring up Minnesota is because that could actually be the prize. That could be the crown jewel. If J.J. McCarthy's knee is not well, you look at what Sam Darnold just did, went in and had won 14 games. They're not a terrible team, but they might need a quarterback. We know that Indianapolis wants to bring in some competition for Anthony Richardson. Here's what I'm saying. We've got a lot of weird quarterback situations, and I think at the very top of the list now, especially after the DK Metcalf trade, has to be the Pittsburgh Steelers. And maybe with Seattle as a close second. The Pittsburgh Steelers are, in a lot of ways to me, like really throwing some darts at the dartboard here. Before an hour ago, it looked like the Steelers were in on Justin Fields, Sam Darnold, and Russell Wilson. Well, you can add Aaron Rodgers to this mix of cuckoo stew. Because according to Adam Schefter, now Rodgers could be a viable option. And the reason why Rodgers is now in is because Justin Fields is getting some really real interest from the New York Jets. And if Fields goes to the Jets, I guess now Rodgers needs to be in the mix.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible the Steelers are using the press to negotiate, saying, hey, to all these guys, you can't hold us over a barrel. You have to take a very short-term deal because we have all these other options. Do you think, kind of like the Myles Garrett was using the press to get more money out of the Browns, think it's possible that the Steelers are just playing everybody against each other?
Possibly. They want to make everyone uncomfortable, but here's the thing. We're not talking about Myles Garrett money. Myles Garrett got $123 million guaranteed. This is going to be like 15, 20.
Well, I think that's what they want. I think Justin Fields and Sam Darnold's agents are saying, give me 25 to 30 at least. I think Justin Fields is playing the Jets and the Steelers against each other. And you know that Sam Darnold's probably playing the Seahawks against the Seahawks, the Vikings, and the Steelers against each other. So I think this is all about money. I think that's why we're seeing so many names. That's the only explanation. The Steelers are coming into this. They had to know who they wanted at quarterback. They can't just be like, we'll settle with any of these guys, can they?
Okay, but I don't love this. If this is the strategy and this is just about the Steelers trying to get the cheapest possible deal, that's fine. It's business. But it's also the quarterback situation. I kind of want you to have conviction about who you actually want out of these, this group. Because if you really think Justin Fields is the guy, then you know what? Pay Justin Fields. Like, I'm not saying you have to give him Josh Allen's extension, but give him something.
Well, they obviously don't think Justin Fields is the guy, or he'd be there already. I mean, And they shouldn't.
So what's
they
the
benched
plan?
him.
It's like, why are you trading for DK Metcalf if you have no idea who's going to be throwing to him? Or I guess if you're just okay with any of these guys?
Well,
like, how do you
get
get
that.
closer to the Super Bowl here? How do you get closer to finding your quarterback of the future? Like, if I'm a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, I might love the DK Metcalf thing. I do like it. But after that, I'm very confused because I just brought in somebody who I traded a second-round pick for, the pick number 52. I'm pairing him together with George Pickens, which, by the way, two emotional guys. Like, are we sure that's going to work out okay? So it's not like there's no bust potential with this. I think a lot more boom. But who's getting them the ball and what's the plan? The plan is to play hardball with Justin Fields over, what, a couple $1 million? We're talking about quarterback here.
Well, I mean, I think the smart plan is to make sure you don't clog up your salary cap in the future. That's the most important thing, is that this quarterback, whoever they take, is there on a short-term deal and not a ton of money. Here's what Diana Rossini of The Athletic tweeted last night, 14 hours ago. The Steelers are expected to make an offer to pending free agent Sam Darnold. Many around the league believe Darnold will wind up in Seattle, but Pittsburgh is doing its due diligence on any potential options ahead of the new league year. They're doing their due diligence now, Monday of free agency. Why weren't they doing their due diligence after the season? I agree with you. I don't understand what the plan is.
This has got a very 2 a.m. at the bar situation where
Yeah.
it's like,
beggars
all right,
can't be choosers.
Well, maybe let's circle back around to Jessica.
Yeah.
And I'm sending a lot of texts saying, you up, you out, you up. Wink emoji, you up, you out, Sam Darnold.
Jessica's phone is dead, so then you pivot to
Julie.
To Lauren. Yeah.
And just don't call her Jessica by accident. It's again.
Wow, that's a perfect analogy.
Okay, but I'm like, and this is what I'm thinking about, right? Because I'm thinking about the Seattle situation, which looks a little different now. You've gotten rid of your quarterback and your second best wide receiver. Or like I'm looking at the Giants situation, full rebuilding kind of mode. Jets situation doesn't look that great. This is the Steelers we're talking about. And maybe I'm overrating them because they're the Steelers, but this is a perennial playoff team who's now made investments with their defense, made investments now more at wide receiver, and it's like the most important position on the football field is an afterthought.
Well, yeah, but they did it last year.
And it didn't work.
And also, the most important position and the organization offensively has been worse than an afterthought. It's been a train wreck. It was Matt Canada for multiple years into Arthur Smith. So it doesn't even matter. You could have prime Aaron Rodgers. Do you have the offensive game plan to do anything with him? And the answer recently has been no.
Yeah, our pal Jay in Nashville had called in earlier, said DK Metcalf to the Steelers is just boring. Well, I get what he's talking about because Arthur Smith, and this was the 27th ranked passing offense last year, but they are showing that needs to change. And then secondly, it depends what they do at quarterback. The problem is I don't actually love any of these options.
It's not going to change with Mike Tomlin. He wants to win 19-13, and the organization has empowered him to build his team that way. So it's interesting that they're paying up for DK Metcalf when they just want to run the ball anyway.
There's been some other missteps, I thought, from the Steelers this year that have been maybe a little bit uncharacteristic. Like you had the owner come out right after the season and said, my preference is to keep Russell Wilson or Justin Fields. Like, Why would you say anything like that early into the process? And also, shouldn't you really give at least the illusion that the general manager and the head coach are making that decision? Like, I thought that was kind of odd.
Well, I don't think anybody doubts the GM and coach power in Pittsburgh.
I get that, but the owner Tomlin is still the owner. And
yeah, but I think it's implied that he's working within a system there. I've never heard the owner bigfooting Mike Tomlin.
He did. He fired Matt Canada because Tomlin wouldn't.
Yeah, bigfooted in the most obvious case of all time. Also, Omar Khan I wonder, he's made some great picks and some great moves. But he's a classic example. He can build everything except the quarterback. If you don't have a quarterback, you don't have a job in today's NFL.
And are any of these guys saving your bacon? And I'm not saying he's on the hot seat, but I'm just saying, is Aaron Rodgers saving you? Is Justin Fields, who you benched when the team was 4-2, is he saving you? Russell Wilson, we saw that. Lost 5 games in a row at the end of the year. And Sam Darnold, where everything, in my opinion, has got to be pretty perfect for Sam Darnold to have a season like he had last year. And I don't know if that's ever the case. So I guess if you're asking me who this should be and where should the Steelers go, because Maggie, stop complaining. How about be solution-based? Come on, let's get answers here. This is what I would do, considering DK Metcalf is now there. DK Metcalf and Russell Wilson actually do have a good relationship. They do. And DK Metcalf was incredibly productive when Russell Wilson was throwing him the football. I would go with a Russell Wilson, or now maybe Aaron Rodgers, but Russell Wilson and draft a quarterback. You got to go old, young, high, low here. Bringing back Justin Fields, please spare me that Justin Fields has been plan A this whole time, or else you would have went back to him at the end of the season. You wouldn't have benched him. You would have shown him more love in the offseason as opposed to, I want this one or I want that one. Come on. You're wondering why Justin Fields is over there looking at the Jets. Why wouldn't he? He's probably got to think, what do I have to do here to look attractive to you guys? I put the dress on. I did my hair. I put the high heels on, and still, I can't get, still, you're not sure if it's me or someone else? Again, I'm going back to the picking up girls at a bar analogy.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. I can't wait for this all to settle by noon or so. We expect the Steelers have to make a decision today because the Rodgers, apparently, there's a report out there the Giants have a sitting offer for Rodgers. So he has to choose. I assume Darnold has an offer from Seattle, and then Fields has an offer by the Jets. I can't wait to see who moves first. So basically, we'll get one move, and then I think everything has to fall into place. That first move will probably be the Steelers. And then if Justin Fields doesn't take the Steelers jobs, he goes to the Jets. Sam Darnold goes to Seattle, and Rodgers is the Giants, which leaves one person out, Russell. I don't know what happens to him. I'm a little worried about my guy, Russ.
Maybe you're backing up Geno Smith if they don't decide to draft a quarterback. I don't know, with the Pete Carroll connection.
Oh, my God,
it's
that
a
would
flip,
be amazing.
A reverse where Geno was Russ's backup and now Russ is Geno's backup.
They couldn't do that.
That'd be funny.
Because Geno was the revenge quarterback for Pete Carroll.
That's true.
You can't have the ex-wife and the mistress living together with you.
Again, we're going back to the women analogy. Who do you think should be the quarterback for the Steelers?
Oh, my God. Honestly, I don't care about any of them. Just sign them to 1 year, $10 million, and you got to draft a quarterback.
No, you must make a decision right now. Who should be guy they sign?
I like Aaron Rodgers the best, and I'll tell you why. Because I think he's the shortest-term deal. I think you're going to have to go at least 2 years for Darnold. I think you have to go at least 2 years for Fields. And I like Aaron Rodgers' upside a little more than Russell Wilson's.
Okay. I think Russ is also very cheap and very 1 year and very,
but
that.
If exactly. I kind of would lean Rodgers over Russ because we saw what Russ can be last year, and it's just not enough to get you anywhere.
Although now with DK Metcalf, though, isn't it a little bit different? See, that's why I'm still saying I think Russ could come back for a year and you draft a guy.
I mean, how many, they had one good year together, but how many yards did Russell throw for in those years?
DK Metcalf had 1,300 receiving yards. The second year with Russell Wilson, it's the most he's ever had in his career.
I just think that there's much more upside with Aaron Rodgers.
See, you guys kind of scared me away from Rodgers with the Steelers when we talked about cold weather, AFC North.
Yeah.
42-year-old quarterback. I know, obviously, Green Bay, he's played in cold weather, but...
That was EJ with the cold weather. I would argue that a lot of these teams are going to have cold weather. That doesn't scare me away from Rodgers alone. The line not kind of being young and developing, that scares me a little bit. But again, you're going to have to take a massive risk here. Otherwise, you're going to be in the first round of the playoffs and lose again. We can't do this year in and year out forever.
Seems like they can. 855-212-4227. All right, now Aaron Rodgers is in the mix, according to Adam Schefter. So who do you want, Steeler fans? You want Rodgers, Russell Wilson? Do you want Fields? Do you want Sam Darnold? See, I think there's this idea that because Fields and Darnold are the younger guys, that automatically makes them the better guys. And I don't know if I necessarily see it that way because Darnold, I don't think, has a very high ceiling. And to be honest, I think his floor could be kind of low. And
yeah, he's one of 18 quarterbacks who've won 14 games in a season, and he threw 35 touchdowns. That's a pretty good ceiling.
Well, but what was the difference between last season and every other year he's been in the NFL? Well, he actually had a really good team around him.
Yeah, but he wasn't on a god-awful team. That's a difference.
The Jets were god-awful, right, and the Carolina Panthers were god-awful.
I'll tell you, Sam Darnold's second year with the Jets was, if you prorate that for the Jets spectrum, it was an MVP type season. The guy had more touchdowns and interceptions with Todd Bowles and the Jets. No, I think that Darnold, I agree with you. His upside is not necessarily MVP. He's serviceable. The question is money and contract size, and how long do you have to have him? Because you can't win in this NFL unless you get a long-term solution. So like, none of this is really an answer.
I don't know about like the Darnold thing. And then for Fields, it's like, listen, I'd be more into Fields with the Steelers if it felt like they were more into Fields.
Why would they be into Fields? What did you see with Fields last year that says long-term quarterback? Well, I did not see anything.
I don't know about long-term, but I mean, he was 4-2. And, you know, if they're going to keep one, I guess they're going to keep Justin Fields. But again, like, it doesn't even feel like the Steelers are that enamored with Justin Fields, especially if you're letting him flirt with the New York Jets. Now, we'll see. This could all change at noon. They could give him a contract and zip, this thing is wrapped up. But
can I ask one side question on this? I know we got calls stacking up here. If you're Aaron Rodgers and you have an offer from the Steelers and the Giants, is it a no-brainer you go to the Steelers? I think it is, but staying in New York could be tempting to him because he loved Broadway and all that stuff.
Loved Broadway. I mean, what are we doing here?
He doesn't have to move. I was wondering, is it, because there's a lot of reports that the Giants have been looking at him. I wonder if the Giants are at all tempting. You have Malik Neighbors. You know, the Steelers, I think he could look at the Steelers and say, well, they're not really Super Bowl contenders, so what am I doing there?
I don't know. The Steelers make the playoffs come hell or high water every single year. Meanwhile, the Giants won 3 games last year. I know. Yeah, I think it's a no-brainer.
I think it's a no-brainer.
I love that he doesn't have to move, like the one single guy that we're worried about. It's not like he's not Phillip Rivers with like 10 kids or something, and he's got to figure out all these logistics. Rodgers is just him and a knapsack versus full ayahuasca.
It's totally fine.
Quickly, John is in Western New York. John, you're a Steeler fan, and you want to give us the Steeler fan perspective. Who do you want to start at QB?
Well, I think you got to go deeper than that. First off, you got to look at the fact that they're unsettled at both offensive tackle positions, and I don't know where that's going to pan out with. You also got to look at the fact that Harris is probably going to be gone, so run heavy may not. Although that's the Steeler way, they may not go that way. The other side of it is by getting Metcalf, now it looks a little bit more attractive to throw downfield to 2 guys that can get separation. If you watch the Steeler games last year, their second and third receivers, other than the tight end, had a terrible time getting separation, and that hurt a lot. So I think I wouldn't be surprised if it's either Wilson or, believe it or not, Aaron Rodgers. And then the first day that they could have people come in to draft candidates for this year is they had the quarterback from Louisville.
Yeah, Tyler Shough.
You're right. So I kind of see them trying to look down the road a little bit, like 4th or 5th round for a quarterback. But they also really need very badly on their first pick. They better go a defensive lineman. That's a hidden weakness that really showed up at the end of the year.
Well, John, good, and thank you for the call. And lucky for that, if that's indeed the Steelers' strategy. Mm-hmm. This draft is stacked with defensive linemen, so you'd be in a good spot there.
Yeah, I mean, again,
John and I are simpatico here.
The tackle situation, and also don't sleep on how bad the running game was towards the end of last year. And they got run all over. You're Pittsburgh. You cannot be at a huge deficit in the running game. There's a lot of issues with this team. I'm very curious. They need a quarterback to start, but there's a lot of other things you can focus on. The Ravens embarrassed them in the playoffs. I think that's got to sting.
Adrian is in Maryland. Adrian, what's up, dude?
Hey, guys. Thanks for taking my call. Hey, this is my thing. Pittsburgh they're not even talking to Justin Fields right now, which is the problem because he's going to be upset. He's going to ask himself, why aren't they at least talking to me with a contract? And if you did the draft right now, would Justin Fields, I think, what is Pittsburgh picking, like in the 20s?
21.
Yeah, so would Justin Fields be the 21st pick in this year's draft as a quarterback? And if you say yes, you got to talk to this guy.
Yeah.
He's young enough to play. You went out and got DK Metcalf and Maggie. Great minds think alike. Over the whole weekend, I'm like, who is throwing these guys the ball?
It's a mystery.
It's not Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
It's not Aaron Rodgers. They can't move. They need Justin Fields back there to move.
Wait.
Anybody?
Adrian.
Anybody? Yeah. I'm here.
Justin Fields. What did Justin Fields do last year, though? He barely threw for 150 yards in any game.
But he was able to get out of pressure and things like that, and that's what they need. Their line is not that good. Also, what was it? Well, if you just got me off my train of thought. Oh, with the Steelers.
Yeah.
With the Steelers, everybody says they want to run the ball and play defense. I guess nobody watched the last, 5-6 games of the Steelers last year. They couldn't stop the run. They were giving up mounds and mounds of points. So that Steeler way, that's out the window. I think it has to be Tomlin's last year, I think, if they don't make the playoffs.
Adrian, wow. Yeah, I mean, thank you for the call.
We're talking about something.
That's spicy. Would it be Tomlin or would it be Omar Khan, the GM?
I would think Omar Khan before Tomlin, if Tomlin wants to say. And also, I don't think Tomlin's in trouble. I don't think Tomlin's going anywhere. I maintain he'll dictate the terms of when he leaves Pittsburgh.
Well, we've talked about this. Could be a pretty nice trade chip there, Mike Tomlin. Someone would definitely trade a first-round pick for him.
No.
A team?
Mike Tomlin?
No doubt.
I don't think so. This is a league where offensive gurus have value.
It's also a team where franchises can't pick a head coach to save their life. The Jets would do it.
Shocked.
Well, maybe
first
now
round
let's
pick
give
for
Aaron
Mike
Glenn
Tomlin
a sec.
now.
Yeah.
How old is Tomlin?
Not that old. He's in his 50s. He's young.
We're talking about getting fired by the Steelers.
52.
I don't think that he would ever get fired. I think he would get traded. And listen, whose fault is it that they can't solve quarterback?
His. He's the one who kept Matt Canada. He's way too defensive oriented. Honestly, you could look back at his career and say the same thing with Brady and Belichick. Was he feasting off Big Ben? I love Tomlin. He's a great coach. The fact that he got to the playoffs last year is a miracle. But I don't think in today's NFL, people are looking for a Mike Tomlin type. I think they're looking for a Kyle Shanahan types.
See, I think people look at him and say, look who he got to the playoffs with. You gave him that quarterback room of Russell Wilson and Justin Fields made the playoffs. 2 years ago, we're down to Mason Rudolph made the playoffs. Still finds a way to make the playoffs when they don't have great quarterback options.
So why would the Steelers fire him then?
Well, I'm just saying, I think it would come down, if anyone's getting fired, it would come down to who do you think is more responsible for the fact they don't have a quarterback? Is it the coach or is it the general manager?
Well, the GM, obviously, he could obviously go. He's not as entrenched as...
Right.
He's made some good picks and some bad picks, but he's made a lot of good picks. I'm a big Omar Khan fan. I think the Joey Porter Jr. pick maybe fell to him and he gets a million penalties, but he's got a lot of good young players. So I'm into Omar Khan, but again, it's such proof of concept that you cannot win anything in the NFL without a quarterback solution, and it can't be a one-year deal. You need a rookie. You need Jaden Daniels. Get me Jaden Daniels, Maggie.
Well, there's no Jaden Daniels in this draft, Pearl. Travis Hunter won the Heisman, okay, and he can do everything but
can he
throw
play
the
quarterback?
ball. I don't know. Maybe he can.
He probably could.
Give him a shot. 855-212-4227.
Wow, Jaden Daniels.
Steelers. Who should be QB1? What's the best for this team after they made a big trade for DK Metcalf last night? 855-212-4227.
You know I'm a degenerate.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff Show. I'm addicted to my phone right now because I need to see the latest NFL rumblings. It's been 5 minutes. We don't have a new deal. What's going on, Maggie? This is boring. Give me something.
We already got some update this morning from Adam Schefter, which is that Aaron Rodgers now in the mix for the Steelers job, Pearl. Let that
in
sit.
In the mix. I think we're going to know by the afternoon because the dominoes are going to fall fast at quarterback. All these teams, the 4 teams are all tied together. I don't think we're giving enough conversation to the Cleveland Browns apparently looking at Carson Wentz and Marcus Mariota, former Eagles quarterbacks.
For another day, please. They also have the second overall pick. But when you say the 4 teams are all tied together, you're talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Seattle Seahawks, the New York Giants, and the New York Jets?
Yes.
Okay. Just want to make sure we're all on the same page.
I don't include Cleveland in there because they have no money, so they're going to have to bargain shop. And even if they do draft a quarterback at number 2, they'll still need a bridge quarterback. So I think they signed somebody today, and you could kind of put, if you squint, you could see Kirk Cousins in some of these spots as well.
EJ, you seem pretty convinced that Justin Fields is going to be the next quarterback for your New York Jets.
Yeah, because I feel like if he really wanted to be a Steeler, that would have happened already. It sounds like from all the insiders that the Steelers want him back. He was in the building. they had all this time to negotiate a contract with him, and he's reportedly telling them, I want to hear what the Jets have to say. That means there's a lot of money on that other end, I feel like, and something that the Steelers maybe aren't willing to give him. So the fact that the Steelers are like, all right, now we have to pivot to other options, and they're talking about Aaron Rodgers. Once you throw Aaron Rodgers a grenade out there, I don't think you can pull it back. You can't throw a brick through a glass window and then say, oh, sorry, I didn't mean that. Never mind. Like, I think now they're committed to having to really pursue this Aaron Rodgers thing, because if they turn around and say, you know what, actually, never mind, we're bringing back Justin Fields, I actually think that will upset a lot of people.
I mean, I want to say we're late in the process when technically free agency hasn't started yet. But it kind of does feel like this is a little late added throw-in. I think you can come back from this. I do. Oof. But again, you're going to have to show Fields some love where you had all this time to just show him love and you didn't.
Right. And so if it didn't happen by now, then when is it going to happen, right? And the one thing about the Steelers, and I saw Perloff said it earlier, he played well, but he was averaging 112 yards passing per game.
Yeah.
Like, they weren't throwing the football. So I think if you're a Steelers fan, you say, am I really going to go back to that? Like, I mean, yes, he's great at running the football, but we need a dynamic air attack. And
do any of those guys give you that?
I think Aaron Rodgers gives you the biggest ceiling. And you know how I feel about Aaron, but I think of the guys we're talking about, he definitely has the biggest ceiling. So I think that's what they're going towards. And again, good luck playing in the AFC South, North, sorry. But I think to go back to Fields?
Well, I think I kind of agree with EJ. I think the Steelers are so famous and there's so many fans, but we've seen other teams become irrelevant. If you bring back Russell or Justin, I think there's a bit of apathy that will set in.
I did not think Russ was coming back until I saw the DK Metcalf trade. Then I was like, all right, well, if you are going to draft a quarterback and say it is Tyler Shuck or it's going to be one of these other guys, I think having Russ there with the familiarity with DK, I don't hate it now. I thought it was totally off the table, but now I'm like, oh, well, there's chemistry there.
If you're a Steeler fan, though, and it's Russ or Fields, I think you're disappointed. You got to try something different just because it just didn't do anything last year. You were never really scary toward the end of the year. So if I'm a Steelers fan, I want to try something different.
Could a Steeler fan say, listen, you guys are not taking into account we had to play 3 games in 11 days and like the team was already a little bit on the downslope, but never really got a chance to like catch themselves because they were just they were one of the 4 teams that had that crazy schedule at the end of the year where you played Saturday, Wednesday, Sunday, or whatever it was.
You could if you've been in a coma for the last 9 years and you haven't noticed the Steelers have done the same thing year in and year out. Because we came into last year saying Steelers fans are tired of this formula. They're just sick of it. They want a higher upside or a downside. Yeah, I mean, obviously, they've been trying to string together a non-rebuild season, and they're not rebuilding now because they just paid DK Metcalf all this money. And by the way, who are those other teams that had those 4 teams?
It was the Ravens, the Texans, and the Chiefs.
Yeah, and how'd those teams do?
Well, I mean, the Texans.
The Texans had the best game of the year in the playoffs.
The first one, then the second one was, I mean, they lost to the Chiefs.
Yeah, the Texans outperformed themselves by 100-fold in the wild card game. The Ravens were disappointing against your Bills, but that's just because it was icy.
Oh, right. Yeah, that whole weather thing. I forgot about that excuse. Andrew Bogusch is here with headlines for us. Say, Bogusch.
Hey, guys, good to see you again. So 4 hours before the oxymoronic legal tampering period begins, here's where the QB market...
moronic.
Here's where the QB market...
Just moronic, no oxy?
Yeah, no oxy, just moronic.
As you guys have been discussing, we've got the Seahawks, Steelers, Vikings, Giants, and Jets on the QB market, and all considering some combination of Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, Sam Darnold, and Justin Fields, while there are no such concerns in Buffalo, where Josh Allen is now signed through 2030 and guaranteed a record $250 million. On the flip side, the Bills releasing Von Miller for $8.4 million in cap space.
I'm sorry, you know what this is like as a Jets fan? Like, Bogusch set it up perfectly. Like, the Bills have no issues. Like, Josh Allen signed long-term while the Jets and Steelers are fighting over Russell Wilson, broken down Aaron Rodgers and Justin Fields. It's like watching your friend eat lobster and steak, and then someone comes over and just gives you like a Big Mac, and you're like, well, here's your dinner.
With no bev.
No bev. You don't even get the bev. It's like, Maggie's eating lobster and steak. Can I have some?
Yeah.
The bills make me wanna.
It's probably like when Manny's friends get engaged. That's probably
my goodness. Manny hasn't said a peep today, too. He's been just silent as a mouse over there.
Oh, we had such a good time killing Manny on Friday. I figured I'd bring that motif back.
What did you guys do with your spouses this week? I had a great time.
Oh, my gosh.
Right? So good being married.
The love just keeps building. Which is actually nothing. No one married has ever said that.
Say, go on.
Yeah. I played FC25 all day Sunday.
Yeah, man, if it makes you feel better.
A lot of married men be jealous of that.
90% of being married at this stage is yelling "what" from the living room. What'd you say?
What I do now?
What most of our conversation is trying to figure out where the earbuds are.
I wish I could play video games for 5 hours. I was playing WWE 2K, and Andrea just walked in and was like, "So, I'm back."
Yeah.
I'm like,
translation.
Does it mean the game turns off now?
Shut it off.
Yeah.
Is she my 11-year-old son? Entertain me?
No, EJ. She wants to talk.
Yeah,
I played for 9.5 hours yesterday, uninterrupted.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
There's 2 catches on the other side of the glass there. I mean, any woman would be thrilled.
Women see video games as just a gigantic waste of time. It's like video games equal you're being lazy.
I was also on my phone, every notification from Adam Schefter coming through, playing video games and just looking at all the news that was coming in, including the punter of the New York Giants signing a big contract.
Yeah.
I got yelled at 8 times by my daughter. Stop looking at your phone. I'm like, I can't stop. They're trading DK Metcalf, honey.
How many parents' relationships are like that? Whereas the kids
Sibling,
have to tell their
or
parents,
the child, yeah.
Stop looking at your phone. Usually it's the other way around. It's usually the parents like, hey, put the phone away. This way, it was the other way around.
Well, it is a challenge of parenting. Not that you guys are going to be there anytime soon.
Especially Manny.
But
hey.
Gosh, guys.
Hey, what about me?
EJ's engaged.
Not that I'm racing to that, but...
Well, it's just hard to put your phone down. And Maggie, you know what I'm talking about because we often do work at night, and it's really hard to be a engaged parent because, you know, we're all kind of immature. To give your full undivided attention to another human being, it's exhausting.
I'm sorry, what'd you say? We had to make a full no phones at dinner rule, you know, and I still keep the sound up from the other
4
room.
minutes. Just sit down.
Yeah, I'm like eating like The Simpsons, shoveling it in. You know, can I just mention one thing about Josh Allen, which is how this whole thing started?
Yeah, he's engaged, unlike Manny.
Manny, when are you going to get engaged to someone nominated for an Oscar?
Or named Oscar, either one. I mean, you can do whatever you need.
Oh my
here.
goodness!
Just one of us set the bar too high.
Still making less average per year than Dak Prescott. You know, people are like, why did they do this with 4 years left on the deal? It's like, because now he's actually Josh Allen in terms of average salary. I know the guaranteed money is higher, but you can do that with signing bonuses and stuff. I'm talking about average salary. He's right in line with Joe Burrow, Trevor Lawrence, and Jordan Love.
Here we go.
And besides Burrow, who maybe you'd say I'd rather have Burrow than Josh Allen, you're definitely taking him over the other guys. So he's kind of like more in line with what the top of the guys are getting. And again, still less than Prescott. This is why the Cowboys lose these negotiations.
Who on earth are you defending this Josh Allen deal to? What
saying.
Bad Maggie.
Wow, you're right. That is a good idea for
now
the Bills.
I get it.
Yeah.
Simply pointing it out.
He can still go to LA tomorrow. By the way, we've got Steeler wide receiver news as well. They send a second-round pick to Seattle for DK Metcalf. He then gets a 4-year extension worth as much as $132 million. Davante Adams signing a 2-year deal with the Rams, roughly $26 million guaranteed. And let's not forget about Myles Garrett. Now he wants to be a Brown forever, signing a 4-year extension, $123.5 million guaranteed. The agreement averages $40 million a season, making Garrett the highest paid non-QB in the game. The Dallas Mavericks began yesterday's tilt with the Suns with just 9 healthy players while losing 125-116. 2 of those players hit their minutes restriction, so they were done for the day, and 2 others got hurt. So Jason Kidd played the final 6 minutes with 5 dudes.
Never seen this. Never been in a game that we could not take someone out to rest them because we had no one to put in. That's just, you know, the end of the bench. Normally you can put someone in. If not enclosed, they were in the back getting stitches or could not move or walk. So it's tough. It's tough. it is what it is, though. I mean, you got to keep pushing forward.
Whomever is in charge, God, Buddha, somebody we don't know yet,
Nico Harrison.
They love Luka Doncic, and they have taken all of this out on the map.
Yes, you've angered whatever sports god you pray to has been angered by this one. I
mean, the two guys that got hurt yesterday got hurt because they collided and both needed stitches. One of them came back at least.
Where's rock bottom here?
I mean, they've got a game tonight, and he left this press conference not knowing how many guys they would have available and admitting that they can't sign anybody new because they're all maxed out. So I don't know what tonight is like. They may
Maybe
have
Jason
6
Kidd
people
suits
tonight.
up. Could they actually have him do player coach? Jason Kidd give him good.
Can't.
Can he play 15 minutes?
He can't sign a contract. That was the question that led to this answer. It was like, hey, could you play? And he's like, I could play, but I can't sign a contract. We can't add any new people.
Come on, Adam Silver.
Who's the number one NBA coach you want to see get 10 minutes in an NBA game?
Tom Thibodeau.
That would be very weird.
Tom Thibodeau hunk is a young man, though. That
is true.
Only guy who's ever looked better with a mullet.
Who's the youngest coach? Like Udoka's pretty young.
Well,
still.
JJ Redick could probably still play.
The guy in Utah?
JJ just retired.
That might be kind of fun.
Who else is really close to have just been playing?
Yeah, no, but I don't
Redick.
want that guy. I want Tibbs. I want the guy who shouldn't be out there.
Oh, you want to see Mike Budenholzer ball?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That doesn't sound like fun.
Oh, you know what I want to see? I want to see Doc Rivers.
Oh, Doc.
You see the way he walks? Like, he's been through a lot.
He's a man.
Those knees,
like,
man.
those guys,
Don't
trying
do
to
it to
run
him.
the court would be, oh, man.
I know we haven't needed a spin doctor. We'll need him for the playoffs, but
And you know how he would spin it? He'd be like, "Look, we need some veteran leadership. We needed, we needed spark. So I got out there and didn't realize my knees were shot." But,
I don't know who this impersonation is.
I love your one to talk.
It's Doc Rivers.
Doc Rivers. Doc's like, yeah. Let's have it. But that you had like a southern accent there.
It's Doc Rivers. Hey, I'm Doc Rivers.
Isn't he from Wisconsin?
No. You got to do the horse. Bogus, you could do impersonation.
I
Doc Rivers.
That's not EJ.
I think we would finally find out
It's not Blake's fault.
that Doc Rivers' knees are actually in worse shape than his voice, and that's being upsetting.
His knees sound like the drum solo at the beginning of that song.
Sounds like sandpaper.
The guy is a Hall of Famer.
I have the youngest coach, by the way, is Ryan Saunders.
Is not a coach.
Not anymore. Flips kid?
He's not a head coach now.
Ryan Saunders, isn't he the?
What list do you look at?
When did he get fired?
That's
Like Chris Finch is their coach now. So it's been a
2010.
while.
Okay. I Googled youngest coach, but Missoula's only 36.
Oh, he'd stab it.
Oh, well, he played against Kyrie Irving.
Wasn't he in the NCAA tournament in the early 2010s?
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, remember we talked to Bob Huggins about him.
Yeah.
Yeah, they beat John Wall.
So he's got to be the youngest coach then.
He'd want to be out there,
Because Reddick's
too.
a bit older than that, isn't he?
Joe Mazzulla will be a madman on the
Right.
NBA basketball court. He'd be clotheslining
He's a
people.
madman at the grocery store, I feel like.
Reddick's
He's just kind of
40.
crazy.
Will Hardy of the Utah Jazz, he's 37.
He's got any game?
That I don't know.
I assume he has a basketball background, but I actually don't know what Hardy's background is.
Do we think Chauncey can still play in Portland?
Chauncey's Mr. Big Shot. I feel like if you had him spot up in the corner, he could hit a couple of threes. Again, I'm not sure. He's got a little hefty in his older age, so I'm not sure.
Wow.
Not sure who's guarding. Look, I have too. It's not one to talk, but
I mean, Ty Lue still looks like he's in shape, maybe.
Ty Lue does look good.
Although he's out right now with some kind of back problem. He didn't coach this game last night.
Oh, forget it.
So he should be a Maverick.
Even the Clippers got to low manage their head coaches.
Ty Lue's got a back problem?
This is the second time.
They sent him home. He was in so much pain he couldn't coach.
Remember, he had to leave the Cavs at one point for exhaustion back in the day, no? Or something else?
Yeah, I remember that.
I don't want to.
That's not a good sign when your coach is hurt. Wow.
It's the Clippers.
Somehow Kawhi Leonard's like, come on, man. Where's your commitment to the team? Okay, sorry, folks. Ran out of time. We'll get back to you. See you guys on the phones, asking you about two things. One, do you like this Raiders trading and signing Geno Smith? Also, if you're the Steelers, what are you doing at quarterback? Looks like Aaron Rodgers now in the mix. 855-212-4227.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining.
Football.
45 seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Just saw this from Nate Geary, who covers the Buffalo Bills up in Buffalo. I don't know if he's being, like, funny about this or if it's actually true, but Josh Allen...
Probably is.
just signed this massive contract, right? $250 million guaranteed, keeps him in Buffalo until 2030. Nate wrote, imagine going on your bachelor party trip to play Seminole, watch Tiger at TGL, go on BDS, then make $250 million guaranteed. Nice little boys' week, if you ask me. Is Josh Allen on his bachelor weekend? It's not out of the realm. I mean, they got engaged during the season. They're celebrities, though, so I could imagine you could probably get a wedding together pretty quickly. He and Haley. I also don't know what BDS is.
Is it a golf tournament or something?
Maybe something like that. I mean, knowing Josh Allen, it's probably all golf related. He said, play Seminole, watch Tiger Woods, yada, yada.
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
I don't know what that is either, but it would be funny if he actually was on his bachelor party weekend and all of a sudden you get the call from your agent. It's done.
Makes me wonder if this is going to be a very small wedding, though. I know you said he's Josh Allen. He can maybe get one quickly, but I mean, from January to it's March now. Remember,
wait. Did he get engaged in January?
No, remember, it was the bye week between the first round game, I believe, was when they...
No, it was just their bye week.
Oh, it was just about, December then, all right? Or was it?
Yeah, I think it could have been...
They had a late bye, I believe.
They were late bye, but it might have been November.
Yeah, he got engaged in November.
That's what I thought.
So November to...
But now it's just the bachelor party, so maybe the wedding's in May?
I feel like there's got to be... I mean, I'm doing this, I guess, now. I feel like there's got to be some time between... Like, the time can't be too long between the bachelor party and the wedding.
There we go. I got some reporting here.
All right, good. Go.
Your friend Deion Dawkins.
Probably on this bachelor party.
Said, May 31st, it's happening. I don't know if
Is that the wedding or is that the bachelor party?
That's a wedding.
Oh, okay.
This is a headline
that was
that
the next
Deion
tournament.
By the way, Deion says a lot of things.
Yeah, he does.
But this was on Good Morning Football. He said that it was happening on May 31st, which I don't think Josh Allen and Haley necessarily wanted that out there. But
well, they might sell the pictures to People magazine or something, and then we'll know every single thing of what everyone ate and what everybody wore. But I don't know if they're going to do that.
There's going to be somebody in Zuba's pants jumping through tables outside of some California wedding hall.
Well, do they play the Bills Shout song?
Definitely.
Think so? I mean, they played at my cousin's wedding. They basically played at every Bills fan's wedding.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, I mean, you play Shout at a wedding. That's not that crazy.
The Bills make me wanna
shout. You just play the Bills version.
I mean, if I had Andrea play Go New York, Go New York, Go, my wedding, she may just say, you know what, let's get divorce papers ready now.
Say, happy wedding and happy divorce. Juan's in California.
Wait, what's wrong with that?
Juan, you're a big Raider fan. What do you think of the Geno Smith trade?
Yes, hi, good morning. I really don't like the signing that the Raiders did with Geno Smith. But I'm thinking that maybe they can just help him out and pick up a free agent wide receiver like Chris Godwin or Stephon Diggs. And then with the number pick 6 this year's draft, I feel like they should draft Travis Hunter from Colorado. That would be very similar to when the Raiders drafted Charles Woodson back in 1998.
Yeah, and that was a phenomenal draft pick. Juan, thanks for the call. You're right about the free agent receivers. The cupboard's not totally bare. Now, Diggs is coming off a pretty significant injury.
So is Godwin.
And so is Godwin. But Travis Hunter, I don't think, is going to be there at 6, which is where the Raiders pick. I think Travis Hunter is off the board in the first 4 picks at max.
I totally agree. But the universe would love to have Travis Hunter in the silver and black. That would be amazing. And that's a team that could use a wide receiver and a cornerback and line him up on special teams. Play him every snap if you're Vegas.
But if you're the Patriots, how do you trade with the Raiders?
Well,
or even Manny's Giants, I think would take Travis Hunter if they can't get a QB.
I think Travis Hunter is seriously in play at number 2 on, because Abdul Carter is the other generational player. He has a lot of injuries, so I would lean Hunter for a lot of these teams. And the Giants, by the way, they could use
definitely.
Yeah, like just Travis Hunter's immediate excitement on your football team. If you're not going to get a quarterback, then you might as well get the next best thing.
I agree. I think that the Raiders would probably, again, have to trade up, and then are they going to do that? And they just spent a 3rd-round pick on Geno, and I don't know. I think if you're 6 and you're the Raiders, now you're either going for Shador, if you really think Geno could be the bridge quarterback to Shador, or you're just doing best player available.
Well, there's some scuttlebutt that Ashton Genty is part of the plan with Geno to have. It feels a little rich to me.
Yeah, it feels like a luxury pick when you got some real holes there.
I don't know, a luxury pick. You've had real trouble getting a running back. also they would signal, hey, we're going to run the ball. We're going to run the ball. We're going to run the ball. I like this guy, Mason Graham, out of Michigan for him, but he had a terrible combine. Everyone says he came in much smaller than everyone thought. So we'll see. 6 feels like there's a bit of a cliff after 4, but I don't know. Raiders got a lot of holes, Mag. I know you like Geno Smith.
I do like Geno, but I'm acknowledging that the roster definitely needs some upgrades. But I like this. The floor, just got a lot higher. All right, coming up, the one quarterback we did not foresee being in the mix for this one team. Got the details.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. 30 seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
NFL quarterback drama ratcheting up by the minute. Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. And this really all got started, Pearl, on Friday night. And that was when the Seattle Seahawks made the big move to trade Geno Smith away to the Las Vegas Raiders. It was like the first domino because now we have an opening in Seattle that maybe we hadn't foreseen. Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. And now we've got question marks in Pittsburgh, question marks in Seattle, as I mentioned, question marks at the New York Giants, the New York Jets, everyone trying to get in on the mix.
Yeah, I don't totally. Actually, I'm not surprised Seattle did this because what were they going to pay Geno Smith? Where were they going with Geno Smith? They haven't been able to win anything there. He doesn't fit what they're trying to do at all. So I was actually happily surprised for the Seahawks that they got a third-round pick. I wondered if they were just going to let him walk. There's just he's not part of it. I know that they reportedly made him an offer, but like, what was the point of that? I didn't understand where that franchise was going in any way. I'm also not surprised they traded DK Metcalf. My issue with the Raiders is, are the Raiders a 34-year-old quarterback away from winning? That they just seem to have so many holes that if they didn't have a 70-something-year-old coach, you'd say, well, they got to go with youth at quarterback.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, but I would say define winning, and
there's only one way to win in the NFL. It's called win the Super Bowl.
No, I know, but see, I think that not every team, if you gave them truth serum, thinks we're actually a Super Bowl contender. I do think there are teams who look at their playoff history and say that's abysmal, and the Raiders haven't won a playoff game since the early 2000s.
Right.
And they will say, let's make the playoffs. And that's clearly the goal because they signed Max Crosby to the big deal, and now they're bringing in 34-year-old Geno Smith after they struck out on 35-year-old Matthew Stafford. So they've clearly wanted to go veteran here. And maybe they end up drafting a quarterback also, and Geno is the bridge. And I would be totally fine with that. At some point, if you feel like you want to start being a playoff contender, well, go out there and get a guy like Geno Smith, who I think has a much higher floor than a Sam Darnold or Russell Wilson or even Aaron Rodgers.
What's more likely, that they win a playoff game or that they have another terrible record or back in the quarterback draft next year?
I mean, we have to wait until the draft is over. Let's see the full complement of what they're doing. I'm telling you.
We do not. We do not. They're not winning a playoff game.
I think that two things are different now. You actually have a big upgraded quarterback that I don't think you're factoring in how much better Geno Smith is going to be than Gardner Minshew and Aiden O'Connell. That was pretty bleak. And by the way, the other part is Antonio Pierce, for as good as a player he was, and he may have been able to rile up the locker room and they're smoking cigars, but Pete Carroll is a gigantic upgrade just because of all the experience that he has. Like, it's a major upgraded quarterback and head coach. I know he's not Jaden Daniels, but look at what happened when the Washington Commanders were able to do that last year. They upgraded at quarterback and head coach, and they saw a great return. I don't think that the Raiders are going to the AFC Championship game. Don't misunderstand me, but can they be a playoff team? That would be a massive thing for them.
Yeah, but also let's not rule out that Geno's 34, throws a ton of interceptions, and at that age you could be injury prone and your line is iffy, that they could be in the mix for Arch and Tom Brady could build this the right way. I think this, usually when you look at free agency in the middle of March, most of these moves, I'd say 80% will fall flat. The odds are that this will not work because you're the Raiders. I think you're being overly optimistic. It's a risk they probably had to take, and I understand it. I just don't understand what their big plan is. They wanted Matthew Stafford. That would be bold. They wanted Ben Johnson. That would be bold. Getting Pete Carroll, Chip Kelly, and a 34-year-old Geno Smith, at best, you're average. Maybe you win a wild card game. We should do that show bet. I honestly am so much more confident that things could go wrong and they'd be in the top 5, just based on the last 20 years.
That's it? That's all the data? Just the last 20 years? 855-212-4227. I know what you mean, but this is the path they've chosen. When you go down the road like that with Max Crosby and give him $45 million a year, then you're rebuilding. Or excuse me, you're not rebuilding. You're showing everybody we're keeping our best players. It's just like the Browns right now. They gave Myles Garrett this massive contract over the weekend. They could have traded him. They didn't do it. They don't know what they're doing at quarterback either, but they're signaling this is not a rebuild.
Well, no. Max Crosby and Myles Garrett are, even bad teams keep one player. You can't just give away the face of the franchise. Even if you're rebuilding, signing the big defensive end, to me, doesn't mean that we're going the veteran route. It seems like the Raiders are doing that. But again, they have so much work to do that I'm not sure the timing of all this is going to work out. It's a delicate timeline to have a quarterback who's ready to go with no receivers, a young line. There are pieces here. Also, they made a lot of moves the last several years, but they're still paying for it. They missed a lot of draft picks.
They did.
Last year, they signed Christian Wilkins for a lot of money, and he's getting old. That does not feel like it's going to pay off. There's just holes everywhere.
Well, and I think they're attempting, though, to, plug one of the biggest ones, which is quarterback, and try to do it with someone who is respectable and somebody who can get the ball to whatever playmakers you do have. I know it's not a who's who in that wide receiver room, but Geno Smith instantly gives the team, I think, an upgrade and some credibility. Now, what's interesting about the Seahawks is it wasn't just Geno. Also, DK Metcalf gets traded yesterday. He got traded to the Pittsburgh Steelers, second-round pick. Steelers gave him a boatload of money. Steelers have no idea who's playing quarterback. Now, we could find this out by noon today, but we had a new development in the Steelers quarterback search.
What the is Aaron Rodgers up to today?
There you have it. In the mix, everybody, according to Adam Schefter. You think Justin Fields may have been plan A. Sam Darnold may be plan B. Russell Wilson plan C, Aaron Rodgers plan D, or something along those lines.
Yeah.
So Aaron Rodgers, Pearl, now in the mix, according to Schefter. Would that be a good spot for Aaron Rodgers?
Oh, yeah. It'd be a good spot for Aaron Rodgers, and it makes sense from the Steelers. All I care about is do not get committed. Do not sign Justin Fields to a deal that keeps him there for 3 years. I think you need flexibility. And Rodgers, to me, at a certain point, if you're the Steelers, take a risk. We need high upside, possible downside, because we know that you can go 9-8. We've seen that. We know you can go 10-7. Can you possibly do something more either really bad or really good? Remember when Favre went to the Vikings and they went, 13-3 the year they lost to the Bounty Gate Saints?
Yeah.
I think that Rodgers is that kind of quarterback where he could catch fire.
Okay, but here's the thing. Yeah, he might catch fire, but if he doesn't, aren't you still in limbo? Aren't you still further away from, in theory, getting your franchise quarterback?
No, if he doesn't catch fire, you're exactly where you need to be to get your franchise quarterback. You're bad and you have no quarterback on the books.
Yeah, but the Steelers have had dicey quarterback situations since Big Ben retired, and they still find a way to make the playoffs. Like they've not been able to bottom out, even with Duck Hodges. Like they can't get into the top 5 of the draft.
Well, I'm saying that's why you got to go all in on Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is not going to do Russell Wilson. He's not going to be just okay. He's either going to be really good or, as EJ will attest to, really bad.
I don't know. Even last year, Rodgers was not good with the New York Jets, but look at the last 5-6 games when he and Davante Adams really started to connect.
Yeah,
the season was totally lost. They look pretty good. I disagree with you. I think Aaron Rodgers could easily play you into mediocrity.
No, I think he could be really good. I think if you get 100 passer rating Aaron Rodgers, you're going to win 11 games there.
No, I know, but you're saying the flip side, if it goes bad, it could go really, really bad. I disagree with you. I think that Rodgers, even if he's air quotes bad, you're still making the playoffs for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
No, because of the injury possibility.
Oh, well, now you're just banking on
Well, I think the first half of the Jets season would be a good format for the Steelers if they wanted to tank. He couldn't move at all, and it was terrible. It was really terrible. Second half, it was really good. That's my point. There's such a variance with Rodgers. With Russell Wilson, you know exactly where you're going to get there. What's the point? Sam Darnold is kind of the same way. What's the point? See, to me, Aaron Rodgers is the kind of bold risk you should take, because if it fails, then you're just where you want to be, back in the draft.
I see. This is funny. I guess where you and I will disagree about the Steelers is, you talked about there's 20 years of history with the Raiders that tells you this is not going to work with Geno Smith. I think that there's 20 years of history with the Steelers that tell you even if Rodgers is bad, they never bottom out. So the idea that Rodgers could hurt himself again or something, and now they're in the Arch Manning sweepstakes, it never works like that for the Steelers. They don't do that.
But don't you agree that Aaron Rodgers has more variance than Russell Wilson?
I don't know.
It feels way more feast or famine to me.
To be honest, Fields might be actually the biggest. I'm not sure.
No. Fields is going to. They're going to not pass the ball, and he's going to run, and they're going to play conservative.
All I know is that I don't really love any of these quarterbacks, quite frankly. And I get what you're saying, Pearl. Just don't attach yourself to them for too long and whatever. But I think you have to draft a quarterback also if you're the Steelers. It's a must-draft situation.
Give me an ideal round in your mind.
I'm thinking, could you trade down and get one late first? Could you get one in the second? Obviously, you just traded away your second-round pick for DK Metcalf.
How about can I sell you on a 4th round Will Howard?
No, I'd rather take a late first round Tyler Shuck, or I don't know if he might be second or third. I'm not so sure about these QBs. We'll see what happens. But I think if I'm drafting a quarterback, I also want Russell Wilson as my bridge. And the reason why is because I watched him play with DK Metcalf, and I know that can work.
How about Riley Leonard? 6th round Riley Leonard runs like crazy. I think that I do think they'll do developmental quarterback, bridge quarterback, whether it's Rodgers or Wilson. And the funny thing is, we had a caller call in. In my mind, the Steelers quarterback is a big guy, or at least Jalen Milroe is a sturdy guy, somebody who can sort of withstand the weather there. For me, Russell Wilson is not a long-term answer. Justin Fields is not a long-term answer. Aaron Rodgers, at least it's only going to be a year or two. I'm totally all in on that, and I'm going to name a bunch of 2nd round or 3rd round quarterbacks because I'm going to get one of these right, and we can pull it back. Curtis Rourke, let's see, Kyle McCord played up in Syracuse. It was indoors.
Yeah, and that proves
man,
what?
Did you cut all those just in case?
Played at Ohio State.
I do think the Steelers will look at a quarterback after the 1st round. Because 21, they failed with Kenny Pickett. Say they take Tyler Shuck there are a lot of holes on this team. That's a big opportunity cost.
855-212-4227. Dion's in Pennsylvania, but he's a big Raider fan. Dion, do you like the Geno Smith trade?
Well, it's a lot bigger upgrade than what we had. I've seen a lot of bad football this past year, but you're right. I think he's a bridge quarterback. I think they're going to draft Shador. But we need a running back. We need a wide receiver. Jacoby Myers is good. We need a corner. We need somebody to stop Kelsey. And with the Steelers, I live in Western PA, and all my family and my friends are Steeler fans.
Sure.
And the Steelers seem to have the same situation. They couldn't score no points. But now with Pickens and DK Metcalf together, I think Russ is probably going to stay.
Dion, that's what I was thinking too. I thought Russ was 100% gone, and thank you for the call. I thought Russ was 100% gone until I saw the DK Metcalf trade. And to be honest, the Metcalf trade, while exciting if you're a Steeler fan, because heaven knows you've been begging for another weapon on offense for years now. Yeah. But if you don't know who's getting him the ball, it's kind of a bit confusing, is it not? And if I'm the Raiders, 2 things are true. One, this is a very deep running back draft, allegedly, and it's a deep defensive line draft. So I'm probably think I can fill 2 of those holes in the draft.
What if the Raiders think we've had some success with 2nd-round quarterbacks? We had Derek Carr, who's the best quarterback in the last 30 years there. And Pete Carroll had Russell Wilson in the 3rd round. They might be eyeing a later round pick. And that feels like Pete Carroll's MO a little bit.
Yeah, I could see Brady being into that too. Guy with a chip on his shoulder, maybe falls a little bit like his own story. I mean, doesn't fall maybe to pick 199, but.
Yeah. We keep arguing over who's running the show there. Is it Pete Carroll or Tom Brady? Yeah. Sure feels like a Pete Carroll prize. Well, I mean, why would Pete Carroll and Tom Brady be on the same page? What do those guys have in common? I don't understand anything the Raiders are doing.
They see football the same way, bro. apparently.
Since when?
Allegedly. 855.
Since when did that happen? I've never even heard the two in the same sentence until this year.
I know. 855-212-4227. You forgot to throw Chip Kelly into the mix just to make this thing.
Oh, my God. Another whole set of philosophy. And John Spytek, who I guess is a Brady clone. He's the surrogate Brady. The new GM.
Yeah, he's the Brady acolyte. They were teammates together at Michigan. They were together in Tampa Bay. So that one makes a little bit of sense.
Yeah.
855-212-4227. Okay, you're welcome to weigh in. Who should be the Steelers quarterback this year? Anyone? I say Russell and draft someone. Seahawks need a quarterback. Jets need a quarterback. Giants need a quarterback. Everyone's vying over the same 4 dudes.
Let's ride.
Coming up next, as we always do on Mondays, a little stock up, stock down. It's the M&P 500, and it comes your way next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. 45 seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
The M&P 500 on the Infinity Sports Network.
Welcome back, Maggie Perloff Show. Every Monday morning, we do stock up and stock down, the M&P 500. All right, Mag, get us started.
Okay, stock up. We've been talking about him all morning. It's got to be Aaron Rodgers' market and value. I mean, a week ago, we're like, is Rodgers going to have to retire? And now he could be linked to the Pittsburgh Steelers as of this morning. The Giants may have a contract offer waiting for him, or maybe even possibly Seattle. So a few more teams, and maybe the Vikings, which also emerged over the weekend. So Rodgers went from 0 teams to 4 teams. So I would say that his stock is up. I think he's definitely going to be starting week 1 for somebody.
Don't be a freaking weirdo.
Well, that's interesting because he hasn't signed a deal yet. It feels like it's a prospective stock right now.
Yeah, that's what I said. His market is up.
But do you know that reality or reporting is up?
All I know is that...
because I read a lot of things about the market, and none of them are actually true.
I'm just saying his market is up, and I do think he's going to sign it. I do think he's going to start week 1.
Okay. Yeah, I think you're right. Okay, I'm going to do stock up. I had a couple ways to word this. It's either old college basketball players that I've heard of, or football rivalries being great basketball rivalries. In other words, Alabama, Auburn, the fact that Mark Sears and Johnny Broome are going head-to-head. Mark Sears is 23, and Johnny Broome is 22.
Janai.
They basically, for college basketball, I think they're the 2 oldest players in the mix.
Pretty old.
Yeah, it's crazy. So Alabama won in overtime. That was the best game I've seen all year. They could play again in the conference tournament, again in the tournament. So 4 times, all these SEC teams. It's crazy to me that this is the new set of rivalries, and this is going to be the story of college basketball. There'll be teams, several teams will see each other a 4th time once you get into the Sweet 16. That's nuts.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. This is going to be a really fun NCAA tournament. I'm getting really pumped about this. The conference tournaments are going to be psyched. All right, well, if the stock's going to go up, stock's got to go down. I'm going to go stock down on the Lakers fairy tale post-Luka trade. I mean, it couldn't have been higher, Pearl. Everyone was riding high. 8 wins in a row, and it was a title contender, and they're the 2nd seed in the West. And I don't know how far they're going to fall now with LeBron James dealing with a groin strain that's going to keep him out. They're saying 1 to 2 weeks, but that's like the best case scenario, I guess. And what's he going to look like when he comes back? And we kept saying, LeBron, he's 40. How's he doing this? And 50,000 points. And he's a miracle. He really is. But the Lakers fairy tale has got some stock down. But, we'll see if Luka can hold the ship.
Well, you know what I think of you talking about the Lakers?
He's an idiot and a fool.
now
Charles
you're
on
off.
Kendrick.
My only criticism is that you probably should have been stocked down on this fantasy anyway, because...
Why?
Because LeBron's 40. Of course he hurt his groin. How are they going to hold together through the end of June?
Oh, we still got time.
You just said stocked down. You just said the dream is over. Which way are you going to go?
I said the fairy tale's over, but it doesn't mean that they can't be a fun playoff team and exciting.
Well, I just think that what happens is we get excited about this team, but we forget that LeBron's 40. That's a downside. So I do think that's why Charles Barkley is right. We should be talking about the Thunder more. But again, I think I convinced myself the Lakers are going to win the whole thing. I forgot LeBron's playing like he's 26, but you get hurt, so that's the downside. I'll go with the Mavericks, by the way, as my stock down. finishing the game with 5 guys the other night. They should just move the team. They should punish them out.
This is what they want you to say. You realize this, right? You can't play into ownership's hands, Pearl.
They want to build a casino in Dallas, right?
They want to build a casino, or they want to threaten to move the team to Las Vegas so that Dallas will let them build a casino.
I want whatever is going on there, I want everybody out. I want the whole team out. The fact that they got Anthony Davis for Luka Doncic it gets worse and worse and worse. And that they're probably, I assume they're going to fall out of the playoff mix here. You can't be that bad of a trade. I'm fine with making a bad trade, but you can't be so obvious that everybody was right. There's got to be some other sort of silver lining here, and there's just not.
It's bad. I mean, 2 guys bump into each other last night and have to leave the game. That's like Mo, Larry, and Curly type stuff. Thank you. Okay, next for me is the M&P 500 stock up, stock down. I've got kind of a little bit of both. I have stock up for fire pits in theory, and I have stock down for fire pits in reality. I was at a party this weekend that was very nice, beautiful. It was at this winery in Massachusetts, and it was gorgeous. And they also, very bougie. And they had this fire pit, Pearl, that was outside that they were doing like marshmallow s'mores after at the end of the party. And they had these blankets and stuff, and it was like out of a magazine. And it's, in theory, really fun to sit around the fire pit and like talk and have a good time. But then you smell like campfire for days. I got ash in my hair. It's like the smoke's in your eyes, and you can only hang on for like a couple minutes. And then I had to go back inside. So again, fire pits in theory stock up, fire pits in reality stock down.
So is it really weather dependent? You have to be standing in the right place. Can you check the wind?
I'm going to say something creepy, but I really smell my hair.
Excuse us?
Pearl, it smells like campfire.
Yeah, I can't smell anything because of allergies.
Oh, okay. Well, my hair smells like campfire. Smell it. Go ahead. Campfire?
I can't make Bogusch. Can you go ahead and smell Maggie's hair? I honestly can't smell.
No, that sounded weird.
Guys, I'm telling you, just take my word for it. My coat reeks. I had to bring a different coat to work. When is this smoke gonna clear? That's what I want to know.
It's gonna take a long time.
I know. And people like the smell. Like, my husband gave me a hug when I came home. He's like, fire pit. That smells so cool. Like, it smells great. But now I'm like day 2.
I don't know what it is. Andrea, when she goes to Korean barbecue, she complains about the same thing. I'm like, it's a great smell. Like, why would you not want that smell?
It's not a great smell 20 hours later.
And I've showered.
20 hours is a little long. But I mean, it would be like a couple hours later. She's like, I still smell like Korean barbecue. Still smell like hibachi. I'm like, that sounds delicious.
I know, but I want to smell like myself. You smell like a campfire.
You get to smell like yourself 350 plus days a year. Mix it up a little bit. Yeah. Get some campfire in there. Get some hibachi.
Smell like teriyaki sauce? Why not? All right, so that's my stock up, stock down combo platter.
Oh, I got one more stock up.
Yeah.
I got hooked on Full Swing, the golf documentary on Netflix. First of all, Netflix kills these documentaries. But I learned a lot about Gary Woodland. Do you guys know anything about him? He's a golfer who had a lesion on his brain and had brain surgery.
Oh, wow.
And there's an episode that follows him around, and right before he had the surgery, he wrote these 5 letters to his kids.
Oh, that's sad.
And he starts bawling in the middle of Netflix, and man, I was crying too.
Were you?
And it was, I would say the whole thing, they have incredible footage of the Scotty Scheffler arrest in Louisville. I'd say this is one of the better sports documentary series they've had in a long time. Now, Full Swing's not for everybody, but it's very well done. This year, because of the Scheffler story, I would say that it's an outstanding season.
So they were following him anyway, and then they got all the footage?
No, they weren't following him.
Because they did him season 1.
They got all this footage from the cop car that we had not seen.
Interesting.
So the cop I think this was new. Maybe it's already out there, but the cop guy's like, wow, you're the number 1 player in the world, huh? He's like, yep. Like, wow, you should have said something. I'm like, hello.
It's like Jeff Darlington was trying to tell you fools. No, I'm just kidding.
The cops trying to do their job. Whoa, you're not just any golfer. You're number 1 in the world. Man, that was dumb of us to arrest you. It's still, it's a year almost later, and it's still the most insane sports story
When they put him in the orange jumpsuit, I was like, this is wild.
And then he came out and shot a 4 under that day. He's a robot. Anyway, I was really into it. Very entertaining. I think that Netflix has replaced Hard Knocks as the best sports documentary place because I still like the wide receiver. I still like the quarterback. I still like F1. I like the tennis one, and they canceled that.
Yeah, they did. Everyone was too boring.
This is genuinely kind of interesting. The one thing they try and make golf very interesting. Like hip, there's a lot of rap music. I don't know, a little
bit of a stretch.
A little bit of a stretch. They have a lot of footage from the Happy Gilmore 2 shoot, too, which is really fun.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Last one for you before we get to Bogusch and the headlines, which is stock down. New York Yankees stock down, and the stock's going down, down, down after, making it to the World Series last year. Started off Luis Gil, reigning Rookie of the Year in the American League. He's injured. Giancarlo Stanton, postseason hero last year, double tennis elbow. Tennis, anyone? And now Garrett Cole, the recommendation is Tommy John surgery, and now he's getting a second opinion. I'd love to know what he thinks the second opinion is going to be. The first opinion is Tommy John. Is the second opinion spring break? Like, the second opinion is pina coladas.
The second opinion is Perloff's dirty hot tub doctor. Get some scabies, see what happens.
In the basement doctor that may or may not have been sanctioned by the state of New York.
Definitely a whirlpool. Sit right in here.
Anyway.
Dunk in both elbows, Giancarlo.
Do you guys want me to be despondent?
Yes.
Sorry, Manny. This was not about you. There's the Yankee fans all over this great nation of ours, and I'm here to tell you that your stock is plummeting.
Yeah, but every time their stock has ever been up, it's sort of gone nowhere anyway. It's hard to predict the Yankees. Haven't they had years where you thought they were going to win everything and it's fallen apart?
Yeah, darn tootin'.
There you go. M&P 500. Whose stock is up, whose stock is down after a big weekend. Bogues, what else is going on in the world?
Oh, we are now 2+ hours away from NFL free agency kind of starting. Davante Adams able to join the Rams yesterday. 2 years, $26 million guaranteed. Since the Jets are releasing him, the Seahawks sending DK Metcalf to Pittsburgh for a second-round pick, then signing a 4-year extension worth up to $132 million.
It officially starts at noon? Is that what you're saying?
That's when you can do the legal tampering talks. Yeah. So at 12:01, we'll get deals.
Okay, so I actually
agents.
didn't know that because there have been so many deals. It feels like you can now do it whenever you want.
So, I mean, you could trade or re-sign your own people up until like 11:59 a.m. Eastern this morning, I guess, or maybe even just yesterday.
It was the Davante Adams ones. I think Adams one that threw people off.
Well, he was cut by the Jets.
Right, so he's a free agent.
Right. Rodgers was cut. Was he cut?
Well, neither one of them, I think, is technically cut yet. So I think they're allowed to talk to teams, but can't actually sign it until Wednesday.
This is the most boring aspect of free agency.
Well,
who cares? They can, it's going to happen.
So everything changed. I heard somebody talking about this recently where the deals now happen on Sunday instead of Monday.
Yeah,
it used to be a Monday a flurry. Now it's Sunday is a flurry.
Well, remember, because there used to be deals announced, like free agency began at 12:01 a.m. and the deal would come out at 12:03. Like, there's no way you could have negotiated an 8-year contract for 9 figures in 120 seconds. So they knew they were talking beforehand. That what's led to this stupid legal tampering thing. But now they jump that deadline.
They jump that deadline.
Right.
Yeah, now they're basically it's going to be the day after the Super Bowl, they're going to start signing guys next year.
Yeah. Like Darnold I don't think Darnold can talk to anybody technically until lunchtime today. Rodgers, I believe, could be having these conversations directly right now.
I think I know why. The season is as long as ever.
Yeah.
And then you go straight from the Super Bowl into the Combine. I think people probably want a break. Like, let's get the free agency frenzy over with so that everyone can relax a little bit and recharge before training camp.
Do it earlier. I think also the media coverage is so intense right now that everybody's plugged into some agent that the media is just all, I mean, now that Diana's a huge player now and you got Rap Sheet and you got everybody, Jordan Schultz, more people are breaking news than ever, so maybe that's why.
But it's their machine. The Super Bowl happens. 2 weeks later, you're getting, where's football? You get the Combine. The Combine slows down. What do we do now? Free agency.
Yeah.
This will take us until we're focused on the draft.
Then we get schedule release.
Yeah, and then we've got, mini camps and some post-draft stuff. Maybe there's a trade during the draft. There's like that 2-week window in July.
Yeah, when we
where
go
they
on
give
vacation.
you nothing. Yeah. Yeah.
Did we get the MLB All-Star game?
That's the signal. Go on vacation. No one needs to work then. Josh Allen now owed a record $250 million guaranteed through a new deal with the Bills. It runs through 2030. Myles Garrett staying with the Browns, also now signed through 2030. He's guaranteed $123.5 million. We stay in Cleveland, where the Cavaliers have done something only one other team has ever done.
Garland in the middle of Strus, right back to DG. Comes around an Allen screen, tosses it to Allen, right side Strus. He's open. Bullseye!
He's the one they're leaving open, and we've made them pay.
Max Strus has tied his season high. He's got 17.
Tim Alcorn, Cavs Radio. Things are going well when Max Strus leads you with 17 points in a 112-100 win in Milwaukee. Cleveland joined the 86 Celtics as the only teams to win 14 straight games, scoring at least 110 in each.
Why'd you take a shot at Max Strus?
It wasn't a shot at Max Strus, but isn't it nice that Donovan Mitchell, Mobley, no Garland, that Max Strus scores 17?
I mean, Max Strus was a huge part of that Heat team that made it to the finals.
Those Knicks fans over there probably have some nightmares about that.
Do not like Max Strus.
Yeah. They throw a Dean Wade at you every once in a while. It's a deep. Ty Jerome might be 6th man of the year. It's a deep team.
Jerome can play.
Yeah, he's
New York local.
That is a surprise to me.
Is that how you're claiming him? Is that what?
I'm not claiming him. He's been killing the Knicks in every team he plays, but
Donovan Mitchell's also. Well, he's not in New York. He's from Greenwich, Connecticut, but
he's from Westchester.
Westchester.
Mets fan.
He's from Westchester.
Yeah, same thing with Jerome. He's also from Westchester. We claim all New York basketball people. Anybody from Long Island.
Anyone's ever been to New York,
Long
you guys
Island,
claim.
Westchester, Jersey, you're all New York.
And then all the Knicks are from Philadelphia, so explain that.
Yeah, that one's weird.
Yeah.
But we got Karl-Anthony Towns from Jersey. That's a New York player.
Speaking of Cleveland, though, you mentioned Myles Garrett is staying. We just did our stock up, stock down. How about stock down on very specific trade requests? Like, I only want to go to a contender. Psych, I'm going to sign with the Cleveland Browns for the rest of my career. Or DK Metcalf, I want to go to a warm weather place with a stable quarterback situation.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Yeah.
How about Pittsburgh and who the hell knows who's throwing me the ball? Like, let's just stop with a specific trade request. You want to request a trade, just like say I want out.
Yeah.
Don't say why or where or what.
I think you're underrating Pittsburgh Decembers, Maggie.
Yeah, I know. Ball me. Get the sunscreen out.
By the way, and by trade request, that means just give me more money. That's because just like Lamar Jackson's trade request or Brandon Ayuk's trade requests, they're now, I think, Schefter outlined the last 5 major trade requests have all meant more money with your current team.
Did DK give us, though, a full page branded social media post like Myles Garrett did?
Oh, actually, but he was he was a trade request?
Yeah. But
there was no, I don't think there was any announcement or anything from him.
Right, but Myles Garrett went really far and wanted to be out of Cleveland, and specifically refuted something that Andrew Berry had said about Cleveland to Canton. Like, he wanted out. Like, it's one thing that, your agent floats a rumor. Like, Garrett made a graphic and
He would have
posted
multiple media tours telling everyone who would listen about how Cleveland's he doesn't want to be here for a rebuild and he wants to win. Nah.
And weren't you afraid on Friday of him talking to Jimmy Haslam and Jimmy going, take whatever money you want to stay here?
Yeah,
That's what happened.
That's kind of what happened. Talking to the owner's like, this guy wants to talk to me. Just sign him. Get him out of my face. I'm too terrified of this whole situation.
That's how you negotiate. That's playing hardball, guys.
Yeah, just to avoid the awkwardness of a 5-minute meeting with your star player, you sign him.
Here's $40 million. I'll say this slowly for you, Pearl. 4 schools claimed their spot in men's March Madness yesterday by winning their conference tournament. It was SIU Edwardsville out of the Ohio Valley, Lipscomb from the A-Sun, Drake from the Missouri Valley, and High Point out of the Big South.
Okay, where's Lipscomb, guys?
Yes.
One of the Carolinas.
Tennessee.
Yep, Nashville.
Yeah.
You
this
said
is
one of the
revenge on
Carolinas.
Kendrick Lamar with this tournament. Getting Drake in there.
Who's having a better run? Drake the rapper, Drake the school.
Drake the school for sure.
Definitely the school.
I think this is their third trip to the NCAA tournament in a row, I think, right? Drake.
Well, yeah, he was there with Kentucky in 19. Then he jumped ship to follow Kansas. No, I don't know.
Shouldn't he be about like a Canadian school? What's in Medill?
Buffalo.
They have a
your guy. Buffalo. How about Buffalo? That should be his team.
No, I'm not taking him.
He was a big Kentucky fan, right?
Yes. Well, I put fan in quotation marks.
Right.
I think he was more fanboy.
No, there's footage of John Calipari at one of his homes, swimming in the pool.
Oh yeah, he leverages those relationships quite well. The picture of him in a full Kentucky warm up jacket and his sweatpants sitting there next to Devin Booker and Karl Towns is like, what is going on here, man?
I know, but don't you wish you were famous just for that kind of stuff?
Yes.
I wouldn't put the warm-ups on, but...
Can't do that for college as a grown man. Now, if you told me he went to the Raptors and did that, I'd
sure
say
he
that's... You're
Well,
right about that.
But then he became part owner or whatever.
Yeah, the ambassador or whatever. But like that would make more
That
sense. But you
backfired.
go back to he's a 35-year-old man sitting in a college locker room with Karl Towns and Devin Booker, or 19 years old. And that just seems a little weird.
I mean, there are some famous people who might bandwagon jump with their teams, and I don't know. Might be talking about a 40-year-old who's sitting out 1 to 2 weeks with a groin injury.
I thought you were talking about Andrew Perloff.
I know, that would be yourself.
I mean, like, famous people with access to.
I was going to say, keep that same energy for Matthew McConaughey, okay?
What does McConaughey do?
Hangs around with college kids.
Right. No,
Same
I'm
with
saying
Drake.
no. I don't care. I love hanging out with the college team. I just don't like jumping from the Cowboys to the Browns and the Yankees.
Yeah, you hate that, even though you
and the Guardians.
perfected it.
No, for me, yeah. But if you're that's I think a new rule. If you're a celebrity, you have to stay with your hometown team. I don't think you have leeway to. You can't be Drake and see that Kentucky's getting the #1 recruits and go to the Kentucky bandwagon. That was a huge sports crime, right?
Okay, well then keep the same energy for your girl Anne Hathaway, who was a Giants fan for most of her life, and then all of a sudden showing up in Eagles green, and that's EJ's celebrity crush.
How dare you say anything negative about Anne Hathaway in my presence?
So she did it. It's not my fault.
She's
a fraud.
Ojan Newby ran into her, and all of a sudden he played great for 3 weeks. Like Anne Hathaway could do no wrong.
He needs to run into her again.
Listen, when noted Giants fan Anne Hathaway, because I remember when Eli won that Super Bowl, Anne Hathaway. When was you a Giants fan? Where did you even get that?
She's on late night shows talking about, oh, my Giants aren't doing well. Meanwhile, Super Bowl time, here she is sitting in one of the Eagles suites. Pick a lane, lady.
And not just sitting there and cheering for the Eagles.
I mean, that's division, too. Like, you're going to flip-flop on something big like that. That'll get you run out of both towns.
Listen, Taylor Swift was there. They needed a woman baby face because Taylor Swift was playing heel. So Anne Hathaway stepped right up to the plate. And then the Eagles fans in America got what they wanted, someone rooting against the Chiefs that they could stand behind. And Anne Hathaway, lovely woman.
But Bogusch, you're a Giants fan. Did you know Anne Hathaway was a Giants fan?
Not even a little bit.
Okay, by the way.
Until I saw the Eagles clip and it was pointed out, like, what happened to her. And then there's a Jimmy Fallon clip where he's crushing her for the Giants because, unlike you, she knew about how bad they were for a while. So how did this change?
We don't even need Anne Hathaway. We have a great fan base. We got Bradley Cooper. We got Mike Trout.
Everyone needs Anne Hathaway.
We got Miles Teller.
Yeah, do you have but who's your leading female fan?
Quinta Brunson.
Whoever Bradley Cooper is with. Is that
Yeah, Quinta Brunson's probably number one. From the
she's amazing.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, listen, the Chiefs have a formidable roster with Eric Stonestreet and Paul Rudd.
True.
Everybody
got
loves
Tina
those
Fey,
guys.
right?
What's that?
You got Tina Fey, right? Is she?
Yeah, we have Tina Fey from Philadelphia.
Right.
Is she a football fan? I don't remember seeing Tina Fey. I mean,
Isn't it mandatory down there?
Maggie, who do you got on the Buffalo?
We got Haley now.
Is she a Bills fan, though?
I mean, $250 million could maybe turn your head.
I thought she didn't go to games like Taylor. She
does. She just doesn't sit front row looking at me.
Yeah.
You know, she's letting it be about Josh. How about that?
Oh, wow.
How about that? Let it be about him. You have his moment. You have your moment. This is how celebrity couples actually stay together, guys.
No veil in that shot.
All right, we got to go. Sorry, Bogusch. I think we cut off half your update there.
I like it that way.
Beautiful. We have so much more NFL free agency news to get to. This quarterback carousel is about to get cranked up to full blast. We'll tell you exactly what's going on next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
I'll tell you what, Aaron Rodgers just has a way, Pearl, of just commanding our attention because we didn't think that he had really any market for next year outside of maybe the Giants, and then the Vikings kind of appeared out of nowhere this weekend, and now the Pittsburgh Steelers are open to Aaron Rodgers, and they're kicking the tires there, according to Adam Schefter. That's this morning. That's all brand new. The Seahawks definitely need a quarterback, so could there possibly be a Rodgers connection out there? And you have the Giants, the Jets ship, that sailed. But then you have the Giants, and you have this dark horse Vikings thing. I mean, he out of nowhere, poof, all of a sudden, Rodgers has got a market.
Right. Well, we knew the Giants going back a couple weeks. It's so funny. I don't see the Seahawks, and as a fellow old man, it's just with that moisture in the air, your knees coming off the Achilles. But in all seriousness, they don't seem like a team that is a quarterback away because they're rebuilding. And Aaron Rodgers is a total win now guy. And I think they would want to build something a little more organically in the Ravens image.
Well, what about a bridge type of guy? I mean, you have...
Yeah, maybe, but...
You have Seattle picking 18. I'm not saying it has to be a first-round quarterback, but depending on how this shakes out, could you do Rodgers for a year and a bridge quarterback?
I guess, sure.
A draft a quarterback, pardon me?
Sure, you could, but... Again, you just got rid of all your receivers.
Yeah, and it's not ideal. But listen, they're talking about Sam Darnold, and I don't think that's really great either.
Well, at least he's 28. I think Rodgers has 1 year at this. He does not have any time to screw around. I think the Seahawks want to do it the right way. I think they want to get rid of everything they've had and build a team from scratch in the image of the Baltimore Ravens and the Michigan Wolverines. They want to be physical. They want to run the ball. I don't think that means Aaron Rodgers to me, but who knows? I thought he was out on the Steelers.
So did I. And then all of a sudden now he's back in the mix. Now, who knows who's using who for leverage and all of that. So it could be a bit of a head fake, and maybe Rodgers just ends up with the Giants, like how this whole thing originally came out. I think one of the biggest wild cards in this is not just the Seahawks being open now because Geno Smith got traded to the Raiders, and not just DK Metcalf getting traded to the Steelers. But I think one of the biggest wild cards in this entire free agency landscape is J.J. McCarthy's knee. And it feels like it's been a state secret on what his knee looks like, Perloff, right? Like, we get very little updates, very few. We know that he had a surgery, and then we know he had a second procedure, but then we heard he's progressing well. What's the truth? And I think that's what we're going to find out really fast here as free agency starts, like technically at noon today. If they sign a Rodgers or if Darnold goes back there, then I think you know that McCarthy's knee is in really bad shape.
I don't see it that way. I think if they sign Darnold to a 1-year deal, then to me that's just continuing McCarthy's apprenticeship. He came in the league at 21. Isn't he still... He's not Jaden Daniels or Penix, who's 23.
But he was 3-year starter.
Right, but he's still on the younger side, and honestly, he'd be doing his first start. So maybe the Vikings say, we won 14 games this year. Let's do another limbo year for J.J. McCarthy. The fact that they didn't immediately, because they could have re-signed Darnold before the deadline, I believe, because he was their own player. They didn't tag him. Says to me that they have some faith in J.J. McCarthy. Why would that knee injury be any worse?
Well, I'm just saying, I think that's the wild card because the Vikings would so obviously be the best situation. If you're talking about the Jets, the Giants, the Steelers, and the Seahawks, or the Vikings, that's like which one of these is not like the other. The Vikings is a winning team, 14 wins last year. Coach is awesome. Elite receivers, like good offensive line. You've got it all. Good defense with Brian Flores. Yeah, you're in a tough division, but you've got it all if you're the Vikings. So any one of these guys would choose Minnesota.
Well, not Darnold, though, because I think you're out after this year. I mean, Minnesota's going to make that very clear. We want J.J. McCarthy to start by year 3.
Oh, are they? Unless the knee is bad, Pearl. Like, that's the thing. This is why I'm saying his knee, to me, is the wild card in this whole thing.
I don't think so. I think that they just want to bench him for one more year. If they think they can win with Darnold, I think they're more likely to go with Daniel Jones or somebody who's not going to start. How about, by the way, Joe Flacco to the Browns today? That's a hot rumor.
As a backup, and they'll draft a quarterback?
As a starter. I like it a lot.
You're going to sign Myles Garrett and give him $50 million a year, and then you're going to sign Joe Flacco.
You didn't sign Myles Garrett. He's there.
Well, you extended him. You could have traded him and tried to get some pieces and do a rebuild, and instead you're going to signal what? You're not. What are you winning with Joe Flacco?
Oh, my God. To me, your other choices are Carson Wentz, Kirk Cousins, possibly, but you have to give up something to get Cousins or Mariota.
Or the second overall pick.
Well, I don't know.
To draft a guy.
I listen, but doesn't feel like Shador's going number 2 to me right now if you're reading the tea leaves.
Okay, let's call it now. Around the horn, the whole show. By the time we all get back here together tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. Eastern time, Maggie and Perloff Show, check out the podcast. Is Aaron Rodgers the quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers? Do you think this moves that fast?
No.
Who's the first domino?
I would bet that the first domino will be Justin Fields to the Steelers.
Okay, you think they re-sign Justin Fields?
I would bet today, watch Aaron Rodgers be in the next 10 minutes. I feel like Justin Fields to Steelers makes more sense than Justin Fields to the Jets. So he's the first domino. Once he makes his decision, then Rodgers falls into place. Feels like Seattle and Darnold makes the most sense. Then the Giants, Rodgers, and then Russell Wilson gets left out.
I think Darnold is actually the first domino and goes to Seattle, but I think Aaron Rodgers going to the Steelers. EJ, Manny, quick.
Rodgers to the Steelers.
Geno.
You're blowing it.
Yeah. Darnold's on a domino.
Darnold is first chip to fall.
Yeah. Seattle's not going Rodgers, thing.
No.
Are they?
No. I'm saying Darnold in Seattle. Thank you, EJ, Manny, Bogusch, and Kaplan.
You're in a 5-minute break.